Evening here in Cincinnati as we get set for the opener of this three-game series of this NL Central matchup between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds from Great American Ballpark. And hello there, everybody. Justin Kutcher alongside CJ Nitkowski. And CJ, this being August 2nd, yesterday was the trade deadline for the folks here in Cincinnati. Everybody knows what happens. Jay Bruce, he is now gone off to New York to play for the New York Mets. So a guy who was a staple here really since 2008, what does it mean now for the Reds?
Well, it means that it's time to move on, and there's not too many people that are surprised that Jay Bruce is no longer on this ball club, but you have to start looking ahead. And if you're a Reds fan, start looking at your outfield. Adam Duvall has been a great story this year. 25 home runs. He's an all-star. He's going to move into right field and take over for Jay Bruce. That opens up left field for Scott Schebler. Schebler, of course, came over in that Todd Frazier deal from the Los Angeles Dodgers, was sent down but did a really nice job in the minor leagues. His opportunity happening now. This is what happens. Somebody gets moved, something opens up. Scott Schebler gets that opportunity now.
Okay, so the Reds, they're looking to the future. These Cardinals, they're looking for the present, because despite the way they're playing, they haven't played their best baseball, a lot of injuries. They're just a half game back in the NL wild card. However, they are dealing with yet another injury. An injury to an all-star shortstop on Sunday. Aledmys Diaz got hit on the thumb. He broke that right thumb. He is now out, but good news for the Cardinals. Johnny Peralta and Brandon Moss are now activated off the DL today.
Well, this is absolutely a team in St. Louis that expects to go to the postseason. They have the personnel and the roster to do it. Aledmys Diaz got an opportunity because Johnny Peralta got hurt earlier this season. Well, now they're flipping that script, and the Cardinals have been fortunate. They have been so deep with infielders this year that they're in that position where they lose an all-star, potential rookie of the year, and Diaz, and now Peralta can slide right in. You have a veteran shortstop who has been there and done that, so not much lost right now, at least here for the St. Louis Cardinals.
It truly is remarkable what Mike Matheny and these Cardinals are able to do. Matheny in his 5th year as the manager, you see his record, a winning percentage over 50%. But how they are able to replace one injured player with another. You lose an all-star, a guy who's batting over 300 in the Rookie of the Year talk, and you replace him with a guy like Johnny Peralta, a veteran, a big presence in the lineup, and hoping to give a spark for these Cardinals. A look at the lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals and Mike Matheny. This is going to be different. That's right. Stephen Piscotty is batting leadoff for the first time in his career, followed by Brandon Moss. Matt Holliday will bat 3rd. Matt Adams in the cleanup spot. Johnny Peralta will bat 5th. Yadier Molina, the catcher, will bat 6th. Jed Jerko at 3rd base will bat 7th. Colton Wong at 2nd bats 8th. And the pitcher, Adam Wainwright, will bat 9th. And they will face the right-hander, Dan Straley, who has been pitching well of late. He has been probably the best starter for the Reds this year, making his 20th start, 6-6, a 3.84 ERA. Leads a team in innings, leads a team in strikeouts and quality starts. He has 5 straight quality starts, and the first pitch is low and outside to Stephen Piscotty.
Oh, it's going to be so interesting watching Piscotty in the leadoff spot, asking Mike Matheny, what's the message? First time, do you want him to do anything different? He said, absolutely not. This guy's been such a good hitter. He's in that spot right now because they're a little bit short on personnel. They don't really have an ideal leadoff hitter, so Piscotty is going to get the opportunity.
1 ball, 1 strike here to Piscotty. Up high with that changeup. 2 balls and 1 strike. Piscotty's numbers: 285, 14 home runs, 59 RBIs. Speaking with Matheny before the game, you know, he said basically it was a process of elimination because of all the injuries. Didn't really have a guy who he could put in that position, like you were saying. And so looking at Piscotty, he said he has been scuffling of late. So with that in mind, maybe a change of scenery in the order might help him jumpstart and get things going. And if you look at his numbers, his last 11 games, 7 for 41, a 171 batting average. For June and July, just a 244 batting average. He was at 335 on May 22nd.
This is the first dip that Stephen Piscotty has had to deal with. It's all part of being a young player. in the big leagues, you're going to have to make adjustments. There have been some adjustments made to him, and you think, okay, we'll put him in the leadoff spot. What happens? He probably gets a few more fastballs to take a swing at. Certainly, you've seen that here in his first at bat.
Straley working against Piscotty. Another 3-2 pitch, fouled straight back. We'll do it again. And Piscotty playing in center field. Some shuffling going on for both teams. Brendan Moss activated off the DL, playing in right field. Another foul ball.
Well, no matter what happens here, this is a success for Stephen Piscotty. He's seen 8 pitches already. Are you kidding me? I mean, you never know what you're going to get, right? Throw a guy in the leadoff spot who has never, ever done it in his career. And what does he do? He's going to see at least 9 pitches to start off the game.
5 foul balls for Piscotty. In the hole, Peralta. Excuse me, Ivan DeJesus. And he can't get him. Piscotty can run down the line. Ivan DeJesus. Good job getting to that ball. And it's going to be an infield hit for Piscotty. The defense behind Straley in the outfield from left to right. You mentioned Scott Schebler, Billy Hamilton in center, Adam Duvall in right. Around the horn in the infield, Votto at first, Phillips at second, Ivan DeJesus Jr. at short, Suarez at third, and Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. DeJesus Jr. at short, a late entry into that lineup, as Zach Cozart was a late scratch, bruised his thumb on a ground ball during BP. And here is Brendan Moss. Moss off the DL, 256, 17 home runs, and 40 RBIs. Foul tipped into the mitt of Barnhart. 0-2 here to Moss.
Some interesting splits that you would probably suspect from Brandon Moss. 17 home runs on the year, all 17 of those against right-handed pitching this season.
Broken back, ground ball against the shifts. The throw to second on the bag, able to make the catch as Suarez. They get the force out. That'll be a 6-5. A fielder's choice for Moss.
We mentioned Ivan DeJesus Jr. getting the start at short, and then all of a sudden now he has to become a second baseman, and that's what the shift does to you, as Suarez is covering the bag with that heavy shift. And that's an unusual turn if you're not used to making it, but great job by Suarez to keep that foot on the bag as that throw was a little bit offline.
David Bell looking at the replay to see wasn't in fact on the bag.
I think so. We got a pretty good look at it. It looked like that right foot stayed right on top of the base. A little blurry there. Maybe you've had the super slow-mo, you might be able to tell. I think that's going to be way too close to think about challenging. And this for me right now is interesting. We talk about the pace of the game all the time. And right now we're standing around waiting. There should be some kind of time limit in this situation. Managers, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it may be. This is where fans start to get a little antsy and don't enjoy just sitting here waiting, as everyone is waiting on the Cardinals to make a decision on whether or not they want to review that play.
I agree 100%. Runner on first, 1 out now for Matt Holliday. And Holliday takes the first pitch for a strike. 235, 18 home runs, 59 RBIs. You look at the averages for the Cardinals. Overall, not great averages, but big time power up and down the lineup for St. Louis. A swing and a miss at the slider. 0-2.
Well, when it's all said and done, what matters in baseball? How many runs you scored compared to how many you let up. And the St. Louis Cardinals are third in runs scored in all of Major League Baseball. So while yes, those batting averages are down, they're getting it done as far as putting runners across home plate. And at the end of the day, that is what's going to matter the most.
0-2, fouled away. Moss on at first base, top of the first. And Holiday chases a slider. And the first strikeout for Straley. 2 away here in the first.
Great execution of an 0-2 pitch and trying to finish off a power hitter and taking advantage of the aggressiveness. This ball's probably a strike out of his hand for a little while, but it's the spin and the rotation and how tight it is and the late break that got Matt Holliday out front and got him chasing that pitch.
Now with Matt Adams at the plate, the shift is on once again. Outside for ball 1. Adams 255, 12 home runs, 43 RBIs. And this is a big guy who has what looks like such a smooth and effortless swing. Three balls and no strikes.
Matt Adams is one of those guys the St. Louis Cardinals have to be proud of. They have to be proud of their player development. This is a kid that was taken out of the 23rd round back in 2009. Not too often are those guys turning into big leaguers and impact big leaguers, and Matt Adams has become that.
And a 4-pitch walk after the strikeout to Holiday for Straley. Here are the keys to the game, sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company. First for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, thinking about hitting the soft stuff, we just saw Matt Holliday strike out against that slider. Facing Dan Straley, it's about 53% fastballs, but it's a really good mix. Slider, the changeup, and even the occasional curveball. So to be able to hit those off-speed pitches is going to be important today for those St. Louis Cardinals.
Now Johnny Peralta fresh off the DL. Up and in. Takes ball 1. And out goes Tucker Barnhart to speak with Straley after delivering 5 straight balls. Straley has 5 straight quality starts. Wednesday at San Francisco got the win when a career high 7 2/3 innings. 3 hits, 1 run, a walk, 5 strikeouts. This is his first career start against the Cardinals. Just missing outside. It looked like home plate umpire Phil Cuzzi flinched, almost called a strike.
He did a little bit, and that's a pitch that Dan Straley is going to want, and he's smart not to overreact right there. Thinking about Phil Cuzzi, thinking maybe that was a strike, maybe I just missed that call, but you don't want to get an umpire upset. When you're Dan Straley and you pitch with the kind of stuff that he does, not overpowering, the location becomes important, and getting calls on the corner becomes very important.
2 balls, no strikes to Peralta with 2 outs here, top of the first. Slider, there is a strike, 2-1.
Something interesting, talking to Jeff Brantley before the game, longtime Reds pitcher, now broadcaster here with the team, and mentioning how Dan Straley is not afraid to throw any pitch in any count. You think about the first inning, runner in scoring position. He just walked a batter on 4 pitches, and he throws a 2-0 slider. That is the confidence that he has in his off speed.
Goes back to the slider, gets a strike, 2-2.
Johnny Peralta saying, hey, I was just in 2 fastball counts. Where's my fastball? Let's cut off the DL, man. I can't be trying to hit those spinners. Cut me a break here. 2-0-2-1.
In the dirt. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The runners will be off with the pitch with 2 outs here in the first. Yadier Molina on deck. The payoff pitch on the inside corner, called strike 3. So Straley gets out of it. A couple of strikeouts in the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 2 men left on. The Reds coming up in a scoreless one. Score. Look at the Reds lineup. Billy Hamilton will lead things off. Ivan DeJesus Jr. bats second. Joey Votto in the 3-hole. Adam Duvall will bat cleanup. Brendan Phillips bats 5th. Scott Schebler will bat 6th. Eugenio Suarez will bat 7th. Tucker Barnhart 8th. And Dan Straley 9th against the right-hander Adam Wainwright. And the switch hitter Hamilton. The speedster takes the first pitch for a strike. 0-1. Breaking ball fouled off the foot. No balls and 2 strikes. Wainwright's numbers on the season. Got off to a slow start. The record is pretty good at 9-5. A 4.16 ERA. 103 strikeouts.
You can ignore that 4.16 ERA, which would be the highest of any full season for Adam Wainwright. He has been throwing the ball extremely well. Got off to a slow start. And based on what we have seen from him lately, expect that number to come right back around where we expect it to be and what he's done over the course of his career.
You mentioned the slow start for Adam Wainwright and how he has gotten better and better and better with each and every month. The 1-2 to Billy Hamilton. Chopper foul, first base side. We'll do it again at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Look at this. In April, I mean, who would have thought that? A 7.16 ERA. All the way down to 1.77 in July.
He's been locked in. Everything is still there. You know, we have a tendency to panic sometimes when we see stars in the game struggle, and at the end of May, everyone's saying, what's wrong with Adam Wainwright? And the answer is nothing. He'll be okay. He just had a rough month. We're just not used to seeing it. Like I said, when this thing is all said and done, Adam Wainwright will be right back where he has been most years of his career.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Hamilton. Hamilton in his career, not the numbers he loves.
What do you think? A little bit of a hard time with the breaking ball for the right-hander? Probably the case. It's what Adam Wainwright does so well, and he's got such depth on it. We talk about a 12-6, and sometimes we use that phrase when we shouldn't, but Adam Wainwright absolutely has that kind of breaking ball with that kind of depth. And for Billy Hamilton and the kind of hitter that he is, he's just had obviously a very difficult time with it.
In the dirt, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Hamilton, who's batting .252 with 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. DeJesus on deck, but if Hamilton gets on, he's certainly a threat to go. With 35 stolen bases on the season. And he fouls that one back.
How about Adam Wainwright working Billy Hamilton in with a couple of pitches, and twice already here within his first at bat. He's fouled balls. It looks like off his back leg. You see the spinning there, a little cutter, and caught him on what a strange spot on the back or the side of his left knee. That's 2 in that at bat. I guess that's one way to try to maybe slow Billy Hamilton down.
A 9-pitch at bat here for Billy Hamilton. And he fouls that one back. A little check swing. Curveball just missing, and Hamilton works a walk.
What an at bat by Billy Hamilton. You see the 10 pitches there. He was able to lay off 2 breaking balls. We saw one earlier. It kind of seemed like it was staying to the outside part of the plate. There wasn't much sweep on it at all, and Adam Wainwright unable to make the adjustment. Obviously, you're going to throw a 3-2 curve ball. You want to split the plate with it. First batter of the game, you're not going to try to do too much. But this ball stayed outside and never came back.
So with Ivan DeJesus Jr. at the plate, this is when things get interesting with Billy Hamilton on at first base. You got one of the best, really, of all time behind the plate, and Yadier Molina. There goes Hamilton. The pitch was up, and Molina couldn't handle it. Stolen base number 36 for Billy Hamilton.
Well, you mentioned it. Billy Hamilton, an absolute threat, and this ball a little higher than Yadi was expecting it and unable to handle it. And part of that is because you're rushing. When you have Billy Hamilton on the bases, whether you're a pitcher, whether you're a catcher, you know you have to be on your toes. And watch Molina here, not expecting that ball to be up and in. It's a difficult one to catch, as it is for a righty, as you're turning your body the way that he was and trying to make things happen a lot faster, and unable to field that one, catch that one clean.
And now DeJesus showing bunt, trying to get Hamilton over to third base with just one out. Good numbers for DeJesus this year with runners in scoring position. 343, a dozen RBIs, and 3 doubles. And with the speed of Hamilton, a single scores him.
And you see where the infield is right now. But look where Matt Adams is. You think about trying to push bunt to that side. If he can get the ball to his right, he can walk to first base. And you have to keep an eye on Billy Hamilton. But look how much room is to the right of Matt Adams. What DeJesus is trying to do in that situation is push it, get a hit at it if he can, but worst case scenario, it ends up being a sacrifice bunt. So it was a good idea trying to catch the Cardinals off guard.
1 ball, 2 strikes here to DeJesus. The Cardinals had an opportunity in the first, got nothing. Here are the Reds in the bottom half of the inning. Breaking ball, 2 balls and 2 strikes. We talked about Stephen Piscotty not being, your typical leadoff hitter, and this being his first time ever leading off. Billy Hamilton is your typical leadoff hitter, that speed guy. And now Yadi asked for timeout from Phil Cuzzi. And that typical leadoff hitter, which really doesn't exist much in baseball anymore, it is so fun. I mean, I go back to growing up and thinking about Rickey Henderson. The 2-2 from Wainwright. Back up the middle. Right there is Wong. He'll make the play to first. Over to third goes Hamilton. And the Reds have a runner at third with 1 out here in the bottom half of the first.
That's a productive at-bat by DeJesus. We saw him square. We saw him work the count a little bit. Ends up seeing 5 pitches, but he hits the ball hard. Obviously, the shift hurt him right there, and Colton Wong in perfect position. But he does his job, and he gets Billy Hamilton over to third base.
Now the infield is in against Joey Votto, one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball right now. Votto has that average up to 285 with 18 home runs, 52 RBIs. First pitch in the air, left center field. Piscotty on the run, has a tough time with it, and that one hops over the wall. Ground rule double, and coming in to score is Hamilton. Piscotty, not an everyday center fielder, had some trouble reading it, and it's 1-0 Cincinnati.
Well, this is just his 7th start in center field. Here's a cutter that's supposed to be in, that sits out over the plate. Joey Votto jumping on the first one, and the way Stephen Piscotty saw the ball, you saw him come in a little bit, then he realizes he did not go far enough to his right. So absolutely a misread by him. You mentioned it, not a lot of time in center field. They're different reads depending on what position you're playing in the outfield. It always looks different coming off the bat, whether you're in left, center, or right. And for Stephen Piscotty, unfortunately, that probably should have been a sac fly and a misread that turns into a double.
So an RBI double for Votto. No balls and 1 strike to Adam Duvall. Big numbers for this youngster, 247, 25 home runs, 69 RBIs. Moving over from left field to right field now with Jay Bruce off to the New York Mets. Good breaking ball, 1-2.
Well, it's been a monster year, as you mentioned, for Adam Duvall. The 25 home runs. The on-base percentage has still struggled, under 300, but they have been very pleased with what they have seen from him with his defense, and so much so that he did a good enough job in left field that they're going to give him that opportunity to play right. It's 5th start in right field for him
this season, but they're kind of hoping they found their guy and have their guy that is going to be able to replace Jay Bruce.
2 balls and 2 strikes here to Duvall. With all the moves that the Reds have made the last few years, it's guys like this, guys like Adam Duvall, who they acquired last year for Mike Leake, where they hope that you get more guys like this, where you trade Aroldis Chapman in the offseason, you make the trade with Jay Bruce, you hope the guys you get back produce like Duvall produces. Nice grab by the fan in the first row of the upper deck here on that foul ball.
It always makes it easier to swallow, obviously, when you move a big player, whether it's a guy like Mike Leake, Johnny Cueto, who they get 3 lefties in return for last year, and now Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier. We'll see what happens here. Aroldis Chapman, you mentioned all the guys and the big names that have left Cincinnati over the last couple of years, and you become so dependent on your scouts and them nailing those scouting reports and getting those projections right. It's not an easy thing to do by any means, but when you get it right and Adam Duvall comes in at 27 years old and hits you 25 home runs through the first half of the season, and is a nod, or I should say now, I guess we're 2/3 of the way through the season. That's a nod to the great job that the scouts have done on him.
Ground ball, third base, tough play by Jerko. And a good play by Jed Jerko over there at third base.
Adam Duvall hit it hard, but he kind of hit it in the ground, and then you get that in-between hop. There was really nothing Jed Jerko could do. Sometimes we talk about don't let the ball play you, but there was no time for him to get back or to attack this ball. So he fields it off to the side, showing the good hands, and a perfectly accurate throw.
2 away now for Brandon Phillips with Votto on at second. In the air, straightaway center. Piscotty broke back. Now he's there, and that'll do it here in the first. But the Reds get on the board. An RBI double by Joey Votto. We're through 1-0 Cincinnati. Yadier Molina takes the first pitch fastball outside for ball 1 from Dan Straley. 1-0 Reds leading the Cardinals. Molina into center field. Hamilton, look at that break on the ball. Wow.
We have such an excellent view of that, because that ball was smoked off the bat of Molina, and you thought maybe is that going to be a double off the bat, and this is what we kind of get to see. We're a little higher up, but he just coasts and makes it look so easy. Billy Hamilton has made a great adjustment going to the outfield. It's not just being fast, but getting good reads, but he's done an excellent job.
That first step, I mean, that is just beautiful to watch. Jed Jerko takes the first pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Jerko's been a pleasant surprise for the Cardinals this year. 254, 14 home runs, 32 RBIs. Rolls one over to third base. Suarez quickly 2 up, 2 down here in the second. And now if you're Colton Wong, you take your time walking up to the plate.
Certainly Adam Wainwright would appreciate that. It's only been 3 pitches in this inning so far, and so ideally give your starting pitcher a little bit of a breather, especially after Adam Wainwright had to work a little bit. 4 pitches, excuse me, so far in this inning. But yeah, you don't want to get up there too quick. You certainly don't want to make a first pitch out and make Adam Wainwright have to get out there a little bit quicker, because you're also dealing with the fact that he's on deck.
Long to center field. There's Hamilton. And that was a quick, efficient inning for Straley. Just 6 pitches. We go to the bottom half of the second. 1-0 Cincinnati. MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, making play opportunities available and fun for everyone. To learn more, go to playball.org. Bottom half of the second here in Cincinnati, the home of the Redlegs. And it's 1-0 Reds as Scott Schebler will step in. Called up from AAA Louisville. He was putting up some big numbers. 354, 13 doubles, 8 triples, 12 home runs. I mean, just an extra base hit machine. And the shift is on for Schebler.
And as impressive are those numbers are, not as impressive as you saying Louisville like a native.
Oh, well, come on.
Nice job, buddy. I cannot do that.
Really?
I don't have it in me. I just can't. The people of Louisville, Kentucky appreciate your effort right there.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's doing some basketball down there. My first time when I was down there, I was told you had to say Louisville.
Can't do it.
2 balls and no strikes here to Schebler. Big swing and a miss. 2-1.
Scott Schebler, an interesting guy, came over in that 3-team trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the White Sox last year that involved Todd Frazier, and this is what you get after Jay Bruce. Scott Schebler, another opportunity. Originally it was supposed to be a platoon with him and Duvall. It didn't happen. Now we'll get another chance.
Skies one, foul territory. Jerko, a long run, gets under it to make the catch for the first out here in the second. Eugenio Suarez will step to the plate. Suarez, 238, 17 home runs, and 48 RBIs. And the fastball's in there for a strike. Swinging a hot bat of late. Fastball is up, 1 ball and 1 strike. You see that velocity for Wainwright, 88, 89. Speaking with Matheny before the game, Wainwright, now a veteran in the big leagues. 2 balls and a strike. This is a guy who has really learned how to pitch, and it's so much fun to watch as there are certain players who really learn how to pitch, and they realize that, hey, I can't blow up past guys anymore. And he said, you know, he can still get it up to 94 every now and then during a game, but he'll sit 89 to 91 and he'll just hit his spots and he'll spin it and he'll do this and that. And like we showed you, his ERA in July in the 1s.
But what Adam Wainwright understands at 34 years old is that it's not about blowing the ball by guys. He has that, and early in his career would see him touch 95 miles an hour. But these days for him, it's about almost nothing being straight. It's the great command, but it's also using two-seam fastball, throwing a lot of those cutters nearly 30% of the time. He's got the changeup, which is rare, but also the big curveball we talked about. But just a lot of movement, a lot of throttling, keeping guys off balance is what is key. Right there with that cutter, and that is exactly what Adam Wainwright has been doing, especially this month.
First strikeout, second out of the inning.
I just mentioned the cutter, and here it is. The ball starts on the outer third, finishes on the corner, or maybe even a little bit off. And the key to the cutter is that it's just a few miles an hour slower than his fastball, but it's got that late movement, which can be very difficult for hitters to pick up.
2 away now for the catcher, Tucker Barnhart. Barnhart hitting .252, 5 home runs, 27 RBIs. Two balls and no strikes.
Look at the run on that pitch. Yeah, it's only 88 miles an hour, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that is really good arm side run. It's a very effective pitch to left-handed hitters when you can put it on the corner. Now, so there are 2 balls going 2 different ways. Fastball that runs away, the cutter that goes in. This is what Adam Wainwright has become, and like you said, smart enough not to get too worked up. Don't look over his shoulder anymore and look up at the radar gun and wonder what it is. He's basing everything off of the swings that he is getting from opposing hitters.
Hit well to left field. Holiday going back on the warning track makes the catch, and a 1-2-3 inning worked by Adam Wainwright. We head to the third here in Cincinnati, 1-0 Reds. The third, 1-0 Reds leading St. Louis. 9-1-2 Wainwright, Piscotty, Moss to face Straley here in the third. And Wainwright not an automatic out as a pitcher. 6 for 40 on the year, 150. But how about this? A home run, 4 doubles, and a triple. So he has 6 hits. All 6 hits are extra base hits.
Slugging this year. Sometimes you're going to be one of those guys that just slugs
this.
like this.
Gets into one to left. Wainwright gone.
Well, right on cue with Adam Wainwright. You talked about the year that he was having, but for his career, his 8th home run. The dude can swing it, man. Don't let the 195 average fool you. A little fastball down the middle. Actually, this is a little spinner, like a slider that didn't do much of anything. And Adam Wainwright barreled to the ball and drives it out of here in Cincinnati.
All tied up at 1, courtesy of Adam Wainwright's bat.
Well, as an opposing pitcher, you don't love pitching in Cincinnati. It's a good home run ballpark, but as a starter, you do enjoy hitting in a ballpark like this, and Wainwright takes advantage.
Piscotty, pop up, coming in, racing in from left field is Schebler to make the catch for the first out here in the third. So Adam Wainwright on cue. He now has 7 hits on the season, all 7 of them extra base hits. You know what's funny? Adam Wainwright, we talk about the trade deadline, right? And you want to get good players or players who turn into something special when you trade away someone. Brendan Moss takes the first pitch high outside for ball 1. Adam Wainwright was acquired by the Cardinals from the Braves with Jason Marquis for J.D. Drew and Eli Marrero back in 2003. I'm pretty sure that worked out well for the Cardinals. But Wainwright grew up, I mean, just idolizing Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine. And those guys were great hitters. Moss skies one to right. Duvall 2 away.
Well, I'm sure his heart was broken when he was traded from those Atlanta Braves, thinking that there was going to be that opportunity for him to be a part of that rotation and maybe pitch with some of his idols. It did not happen for him. A trade going into, I guess it was going into the 2004 season, right? Traded after
December 13th, 2003 was the trade.
And he certainly did appear to be on the path. He was doing a really nice job in Double-A in 03. Obviously, the Cardinals saw it as well. But you're absolutely right. They won that trade. Now, it didn't look like it at first. There were some struggles for Adam Wainwright early on in his minor league career with the St. Louis Cardinals, but it has been pretty much smooth sailing since he became a regular in 2006.
Fouled back by Holiday, 1 ball and 1 strike, and who can forget Adam Wainwright striking out Carlos Beltran to end the 2006 NLCS on that nasty breaking ball.
Well, there's some Mets fans that are trying to forget it. They're working on it. Hasn't quite happened yet.
Holiday rips one to left field. Schebler goes over. We'll let this one go off the wall, and Holiday trots into second base with his 19th double of the season.
Matt Holliday still hits the ball as hard as anybody in the game. So strong. See him drill this line drive right down the left field line. Schebler thought maybe he'd have a chance to cut it off. You know, with Matt Holliday's speed, trying to keep this thing a single, but that ball was hit just way too hard. He had absolutely no chance of getting in front of that ball before it got to the wall.
2 outs, runner in scoring position now for Matt Adams, who walked his first time up. 1-1 top of the third. Outside for ball 1.
This is where the trouble started for Dan Straley the first time. He had 2 outs. Matt Adams comes up, ends up walking him on 4 pitches.
Rolls one over there. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ten home runs in his career against the Reds. Watch out. 1-2. St. Louis trying to go on top here in the 3rd. A leadoff home run by Adam Wainwright. A 2-out double by Holiday. Straley ahead in the count, 1-2. And he gets Adams to chase. Strikeout number 3 for Straley. But Adam Wainwright with his 2nd home run of the season. We're all tied up at 1 here in the 3rd. Well, a look down the left field wall, not too far away from where Adam Wainwright just hit a home run. It's 1-1, bottom half of the 3rd, and Wainwright will get to face Dan Straley, who will look for revenge. Leading off here in the bottom half of the 3rd. And the first pitch is up high for ball 1. Now Straley, unlike Wainwright, not a great hitter. 0 for 30 on the season.
That's not good.
Depends what you define as good.
Well, payback would be nice, but probably unlikely here for Dan Straley.
Behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and two. Wainwright getting up to 92 on that one. Oh, there's Uncle Charlie. The curveball. That's not fair. He's got 26 strikeouts and 30 at-bats, making 27 and 31. How about the keys to the game for the Cincinnati Reds?
I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with the Bruce theme, and that there is the Cardinals key, which is hit the soft stuff. But for the Reds, born to run, right? A little Bruce Springsteen. That was like on short notice. Give me a little bit of a break. But thinking about Billy Hamilton, and we saw in the first inning, right, stealing his 36th base of the year. I don't think I'm able to say that too clearly today, so maybe I should practice this stuff before we actually go on air. But anyway, Billy Hamilton getting on base. You mentioned it earlier how we were talking about the lack of true leadoff hitters that we have in Major League Baseball. And the on base percentage is still not there for Billy Hamilton. But when he gets on, he absolutely wreaks havoc on the base paths. And it's a lot about not just stealing bases, but putting pressure on the pitcher. A lot of times those guys will make mistakes, gives the hitter a really good pitch to hit. And so getting Billy Hamilton on and letting him run a little bit more would be a big boost to the Cincinnati offense.
Nice breaking ball once again from Wainwright, ahead in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Hamilton. So again, he walked and stole his 36th base of the year.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's move on to something else.
In the dirt, 2-2. It came around the score on the ground rule double by Joey Votto.
You know, the one thing that's so nice about this business, there's so many important people behind you, right? When you're playing, your family. Now for us broadcasting, and didn't take my wife all but 5 seconds to text me nice paragraph. She's the best.
Up high, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
A lot of sarcasm in the Nikowski house. Not a place if you have thin skin.
It's the only way to roll. Sarcasm. A payoff pitch. Got him swinging. That is the 8th strikeout in 8 at-bats for Billy Hamilton against Adam Wainwright. And that's strikeout number 3 for Wainwright.
And again, it's the cutter. And it's so funny, too, because a lot of people think about playing matchups. And would you be better off having lefties against Adam Wainwright? You would. The batting average is a little bit higher. But when that cutter is on, it is a lot more difficult to hit as a left-handed hitter as opposed to a right-handed hitter with the ball going away from you. We saw Billy Hamilton, that ball bearing in on his hands. Very difficult to get to it, especially when it's actually up in the zone a little bit.
7 in a row retired by Wainwright. And the pitch is up high to Ivan DeJesus Jr. Grounded out to second, his first time out. 1-1 bottom half of the 3rd. Beautiful curveball.
I mean, really, I think one of the best that we have seen. Clayton Kershaw from the left side probably has the best left-handed curveball. Lance McCullers has got a pretty good one down in Houston, but the Adam Wainwright curveball has been so steady and so consistent. It is a beautiful thing to watch.
Line drive, short, caught on a little hop by Johnny Peralta, and back-to-back 1-2-3 innings by Wainwright. We played 3. It's 1-1 Cards and Reds. First pitch to Johnny Peralta. is outside for ball one, leading off here in the fourth. 1-1 ball game. Peralta has played in just 30 games this year. A two-hopper to third. Difficult play for Suarez. Had to back up. Makes a strong throw across the diamond. One away here in the fourth.
We'll take Johnny Peralta, I think, a little while to get comfortable coming off of the disabled list, but don't even worry about his numbers. You can't look at him. He certainly can as far as what has happened this year, as we see Suarez making the nice play and backing up in the strong throw. It's going to be about what happens going forward here and what he can put together for these last 2 months of the season.
First pitch swinging Molina. Straightaway center. Hamilton late break. But Hamilton able to catch up, make the catch on the warning track. 2 away in the fourth.
It's 2 loud outs by Yadier Molina. Has hit the ball hard both times against Dan Straley, and both times Billy Hamilton has been there to reel it in.
So if you're Yadier Molina, don't hit it to center. Billy Hamilton will track it down. His manager Brian Price said he is a Gold Glove caliber center fielder. 2 outs now for Jed Jerko. 3 pitches, 2 outs for Dan Straley. And Jerko offered on that slider. No balls and 1 strike. A ground out to third, back in the second. He's 0 for 1. Low and outside, 1-1. Good fastball hits his target. 1-2 here to Jerko. In the air, left field and deep. Schebler at the wall in front of it, makes the catch, and that'll do it in the fourth. A 7-pitch inning for Straley. We're through 3.5, all tied up at 1. Nobody sees sports quite the way Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock do. The brains to know and the guts to say. Catch Colin and Jason as they team up for FS1's new daily sports talk show, Speak for Yourselves. Weeknight at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Followed by, on most nights, now not tonight, but usually followed by MLB Whip Around, which is our highlight show that we do on FS1. But tonight, Whip Around will be on after this game, and you'll be in for a treat. Frank Thomas and Pete Rose are in studio. Always nice when we get Pete in town with Chris Myers. Hope you guys will check that out. But on most nights we follow Jason and Colin on FS1.
I think it's just nice as Joey Votto leads off here in the 4th against Wainwright. Votto was the last guy to reach base for the Reds in this game with that RBI double back in the 1st when Piscotty had that circuitous route to the ball, had to dive for it, and it bounced over the wall. I think it's just nice that you're the lead-in for whip around tonight.
Absolutely. Nice to hand off the baton to the guys. But I promise you, if you stick around and watch that show, you'll have a lot of fun. As obviously Reds fans know watching this game, Pete Rose still very much in tune with Major League Baseball. He knows exactly what's going on. Provides incredible insight. And of course the Hall of Famer Frank Thomas. It'll be good stuff.
Votto rips a single to center field. Joey Votto is 2 for 2. So that snaps a streak of 8 in a row retired by Wainwright, and that leads us to a game break. Let's go back and check in with one of those guys, Chris Myers. So a little preview of what we can see tonight on MLB Whip Around. Thank you, Chris. And Adam Duvall fouls the first pitch off. No balls and 1 strike. Duvall grounded out to third base his first time up. Bottom half of the 4th, 1-1 ball game. Cardinals and Reds. First of 3 here between these NL Central foes. Wainwright had retired 8 in a row before that base hit by Joey Votto. Breaking ball, check swing, 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, we mentioned Jay Bruce at the top of this broadcast and the trade deadline that came and went yesterday. One of the great times of the baseball season, for me at least, is that trade deadline. And I don't know about you, but I was glued to my phone and the TV and checking Twitter, whether it was Ken Rosenthal or JP Morosi, and seeing what updates they had and just waiting to find out what moves were made. But not just yesterday, but overall, what move or moves impressed you the most?
Well, it doesn't surprise me that the Texas Rangers struck again. They were in a great position to add. They didn't get the starting pitcher that they were looking for, but they had some really nice pieces. Jonathan Lucroy will be behind the plate for them. That's certainly going to be impact, and a guy that they get very inexpensively because he's only making, I say only, but in baseball terms, $4 million this year, 5.2 this year, or excuse me, next year. So I love that move for them. Already a good team. Love the teams that got arms. I love the Indians making a big move and bringing in Andrew Miller. Thought they might do a little bit more. They tried to get Jonathan Lucroy. He was in a position to shoot that down. I think the Indians are in a really good position right now, but a lot of teams did a lot of good things, and maybe the biggest, I don't know if it's a shocker, but something we have not seen in, I don't know, what, 20 years, is watching the Yankees move away from all their big players. Aroldis Chapman, Andrew Miller, Carlos Beltran, all gone. Ivan Nova out the door, and the Yankees all of a sudden now acquiring young prospects. It's a little bit of a different feel, but I'm with you. I enjoyed watching all of it. Ken and JP were all over it for the last few days.
2 balls and 2 strikes here to Duvall. And there is strikeout number 4 for Wainwright.
We talked about it earlier and how most things are going to be moving, and this is still a 2-seam fastball, but I want to pop the glove a little bit as Adam Wainwright reaches back and blows this ball by Adam Duvall. It's that little bit of movement at the end, though, that helps as well. We know Duvall's a good fastball hitter. Really nice execution by Wainwright.
One away now for Brandon Phillips. Flew out to center field his first time up. Phillips has not had a home run since May 7th. No balls and 1 strike.
What an interesting case Brandon Phillips was this past offseason. An opportunity to get traded to the Washington Nationals. He turned it down. He wanted to get an extra year or so, it sounded like, added on to that contract. The Washington Nationals were not interested in that. They wanted Brandon Phillips as is, which is one more year on his deal, and so he stays put. Becomes kind of interesting to see what the Reds will do. They have Jose Peraza, a guy that I think they'd like to see play a little bit of second base, and as they acquire talent and younger talent with all the veterans that they moved on from, kind of wonder about Brandon Phillips a little bit. That playing time has been there consistently.
And they got Dilson Herrera in the trade for Jay Bruce.
Absolutely. And so there's a couple of middle infielders that I'm sure the Cincinnati Reds would like to start giving some big league at bats, big league innings in the field to. But right now you got some veterans sticking around, making that a little bit difficult. Brandon Phillips didn't like this call. I should see him separate, maybe trying to trick some people, but I think that barrel came around. I think it's a good call by home plate umpire Phil Cousins.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Phillips. That's one of those where Phillips maybe just wants him to at least ask Scott Berry for help as opposed to calling it on his own. Fouls it back. And in that regard, from Brandon Phillips' perspective, I'm not against it. I feel like as opposed to the home plate umpire making the call on his own, why not ask for help on that?
You only don't ask if you feel like you know for sure. Phil Cousins feels like he absolutely knows for sure that Brandon Phillips went around. Now we see it and we say, yeah, it's kind of borderline. I mean, I believe he went around. Well, I get to see it in slow motion. And so should you ask for help? I'd like to see that as well. I always feel like umpires should be asking for help more on that. But if they feel confident, they're going to make the call.
Back-to-back strike by Wainwright. The way Phillips was standing there, I was like, wait a minute. Was I wrong? Were there not 2 strikes? Did I just get fined in kangaroo court?
Well, here we go with another good 2-seam fastball, and this one even better than the last that he struck out Adam Duvall on. That ball starts off the plate, runs back on the corner. Really good location. That's a tough pitch for a right-hander because you're seeing that pitch off the plate. You have that slight hesitation on whether or not the ball is going to be a ball or a strike. By the time you realize that it is, you can't get your best swing on it.
Looks like Wainwright's humping it up a little bit here in the 4th inning. 2 outs, and now Schebler at the plate. Popped out to 3rd base in foul territory his first time up. Votto led off with that single.
You know, and to finish real quick on the Brandon Phillips conversation, you look at the middle right now, what it should have been, we thought it was going to be tonight, was going to be Zach Cozart and Brandon Phillips, and they tried to move Zach Cozart to the Seattle Mariners. That deal ultimately fell through. And yes, while there are younger guys right now in this system, you cannot deny the fact that both of those guys are unbelievably solid up the middle. Brandon Phillips still plays incredible defense, and he could absolutely help a contender if he wanted to leave. It really is amazing to see what he has done with the glove. And continues to do with the glove.
No balls and 2 strikes here to Schebler. And as far as him turning down the trade to the Nationals, look, I mean, that's his right. That's why you sign the contracts. That's why you have a no trade clause in there. If you're going to trade, you're going to waive that right that you signed. You want something in return for it. Just missing inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And I finish that with this because Jonathan Lucroy just went through it. Brandon Phillips just went through it. I think teams can do a better job of not letting this become public, right? If you know you want to trade a player to a team, before you start agreeing to players, go to the player that you're trading that has a right to shut the deal down and say, listen, we're thinking about moving you here. Do you have interest? And he might be able to shut that down before it goes any further.
Cold foul. Looks like our camera guy may have made a kick save.
Not much of a reaction yet. Looked like it caught him on the foot. That would hurt a little bit.
Maybe hurts you, not him. Still 1-2 here to Schebler. Missing outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bottom half of the 4th, 1-1, Cardinals and Reds. Schebler just recalled from AAA Louisville. Another 2-2. Hit well to right field. Played on a hop by Moss. Votto. He has to get back the bag at second. A 2-out single by Scott Schebler, and that was hit very, very hard.
You can see the big, strong swing from Scott Schebler, and that's where you get excited about the upside. He'll get the rest of the season to show it off. For this one, I think that was a cutter that tried to come back a little bit. Maybe a fastball, 90 miles an hour. So maybe that was actually a two-seam fastball that came back and caught a little bit of play. But that's a really nice at-bat, too. That's a 7-pitch at-bat for Scott Schebler against a very good righty and Adam Wainwright. So hitting the ball hard, lots of opportunity here the rest of the year for him to show what he can do and really try to cement a spot in left field full-time next year.
Eugenio Suarez, he was the first strikeout victim for Wainwright tonight. 5 in the game for Wainwright. And he starts him off with a curveball first strike. First and second, 2 outs. On singles by Votto and Schebler. In the air, left field. Holiday. He's got room in front of the warning track, makes the catch, and that'll do it. No runs on 2 hits, 2 men left on. We played 4 at the Great American Ballpark. It's 1-1, Cardinals and Reds. Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to AppBat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Colton Wong in the air to center. 1 pitch, 1 out. As Billy Hamilton makes the play out there in center field. I tell you what, with all these quick at-bats, Dan Straley, with 1 out in the 5th inning, has just 54 pitches.
He's done a great job, and not only is he filling up the strike zone, as you see a couple of single-digit innings there in the 2nd and the 4th, but he also keeps a good pace too. That's the other thing. There's one thing about throwing strikes and keeping your pitch count down, but also in between pitches. Both of these guys really do a nice job, quick pace, don't take a lot of time in between. And what that does, first of all, it helps you with consistency, but also helps keep your infielders, your outfielders sharp in the game, on their toes. These are the kind of guys that are fun to play behind.
And this the guy, Adam Wainwright, who did the damage earlier in that 3rd inning. Leading off the inning, we had mentioned he had a good bat. He had 6 hits, all of them extra base hits. And then he hits his 2nd home run of the year to tie it up at 1. takes on 2-0. 2 balls and a strike to Wainwright.
Sometimes you think when you're facing an opposing pitcher, you can just throw something in there with a little bit of a wrinkle on it. Doesn't have to be your best breaking pitch. And what Straley threw there was a little slider, didn't do very much. And Adam Wainwright was all over it. You got to be careful. You got to know which hitters, or excuse me, which pitchers can hit, which ones cannot. And we know this about Adam Wainwright. He is slugging this year with all those extra base hits.
Wainwright to center field. Hamilton comes in to make the catch. And there were 2 away here in the 5th.
It's 5 putouts for Billy Hamilton. Obviously, the St. Louis Cardinals not getting the memo on the defense out there.
Basically go foul line to foul line. Nothing in the middle.
Which, of course, is completely opposite of what you want to teach good hitters. Use the whole field, stay in the middle of the field, but not when it's Billy Hamilton, not when it's Brandon Phillips playing second base. This is probably one of the few teams that you actually do want to hit the ball into the middle of the field against.
Steven Piscotty, first pitch, ground ball, foul ball, third base. Piscotty had the infield single leading off the ball game with that good 10-pitch at bat against Straley. Then he flew out to left field back in the 3rd.
You never want to believe when you're playing on a team that your manager has favorite players, right? You want to believe that he likes all 25 guys equally, and I think Mike Matheny does, but he especially likes Steven Piscotty. You can tell by the way that he talks about him, covering a handful of games over the last couple of years. He loves everything about this kid and his approach.
Suarez, the long throw, got him. And Eugenio Suarez, the hot corner. Look at that throw. Woo! Sunday, sponsored by Audi, returns to FS1 with 2 huge games at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss Kaká and Orlando City FC battle Clint Dempsey and the Seattle Sounders. And at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, the LA Galaxy square off with the New York Red Bulls. Or watch both games live on Fox Sports Go. That's Soccer Sunday. Right now, it's Baseball Tuesday. The Cardinals and the Reds, bottom half of the 5th. 1-1 ball game. Justin Kutcher and C.J. Nitkowski with you here on FS1. Adam Wainwright will face 8-9-1 in the order for Cincinnati. Tucker Barnhart, Dan Straley, and Billy Hamilton. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for St. Louis. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for Cincinnati. First pitch in the air, right center field. Piscotty going back by the wall. That one is gone. Tucker Barnhart with his 6th home run of the year makes it a 2-1 Reds lead.
Tucker Barnhart catching Adam Wainwright, I think, by complete surprise, ambushing here on a first pitch fastball and taking a monster swing, and we're going to see it right here. You see that ball, two-seamer that ended up staying up. Looked like he's trying to throw a front door two-seamer. That's the one you want down a little bit more, but you're trying to get ahead, strike one. Tucker Barnhart not going to wait around. Saw the strikeouts tonight by Wainwright. He's been finishing off hitters very well, so he jumps up on a first pitch fastball.
1 ball, no strikes to Straley. 1-1 now. Straley struck out looking his first time up on a curveball. Inside, 2-1. Foul back. 2 balls and 2 strikes. As a pitcher, when you were hitting, who was the scariest pitcher that you had to face?
You know, I went to the bullpen pretty early in my career, so I think I only had about 15 or 16 plate appearances. But seeing Curt Schilling's fastball live was a tough one early on. I mean, appreciate you bringing this up, man. But, you know, I didn't hit in high school or college. I was a pitcher only by the time I was a sophomore, so kind of a Dan Straley bat going, although I do have a couple of big league hits. I didn't go over 32. But yeah, Curt Schilling's fastball to me seemed like it was 100 miles an hour when I faced him back in 1995. Really jumped on you. The fastest thing I had ever seen in person.
6 strikeouts now on the night for Wainwright. 1 away now for Billy Hamilton. A walk, a stolen base, a run scored, and a strikeout. In on the grass at third base is Jed Jerko. Have to anticipate the bunt. Fouled away, 1-1.
See Adam Wainwright elevating the ball against Billy Hamilton. Not a terrible idea. He's got a little bit of pop in the bat, 3 home runs on the season, but if you can get him to hit the ball in the air, that's ideal. And it's been a little bit of an issue for Billy Hamilton, not hitting the ball on the ground, not enough line drives. And if you can elevate, get him to swing under it earlier in the count and pop it up, it's not a terrible idea. Guys like him, you don't want him putting the ball on the ground. He makes life very difficult for you if you do.
Kind of like Willie Mays Hayes.
That's right. 10 push-ups.
2 balls and 1 strike after showing the bunt there and pulling it back. 2-2.
But I did find what Brian Price said to us before the game be very interesting, which was a lot of people just say, well, just hit the ball on the ground, bunt more, right? These are things that are not automatics. He's been bunting a lot better lately. But I kind of like what he said. He said, I'm not worried about him hitting the ball on the ground as much as I just want him to think about hitting the ball hard. Good things happen when you can square a baseball up, hit it hard, good exit velocity. And he feels like by his blind eye that Billy Hamilton has been a lot better in that area lately.
Breaking ball, ground ball to second. Wong makes the play. 2 outs and time for a game break. Let's go back to Chris Myers in LA. All right, Chris, thank you very much. Jay Bruce making his Mets debut wearing number 19.
And right into the Subway Series now. It's kind of lost a little bit of its cachet. It's not the same that it has always been, but that's going to be a great crowd regardless of what the Yankees and Mets are doing. Always a fun series, so I'm sure Jay Bruce is enjoying that. And interesting to hear De Aza, who hit that home run. The Mets struggling to figure out who's going to play center field consistently for them with the injuries and issues that they've had, which made the Jay Bruce acquisition even all the more interesting because he's a corner outfielder. There is no shortage of corner outfielders right now for the New York Mets, but center fielders are much more difficult to come by.
No balls, 2 strikes to De Jesus. It was 0 for 2, a ground out and a line out to short.
No, not for you.
Fouled off the end of the bat, stays 0-2. Tucker Barnhart led off the inning. First pitch, home run. to right center field. Has made it a 2-1 Reds lead. 1-2. Back up the middle, base hit, a 2-out single for Ivan DeJesus Jr.
For a guy who just found out right before the game has started that he would be playing today, DeJesus has done a nice job. Here's a cutter here. Sat up, didn't do very much. That's a ball that Adam Wainwright wants down and away. But DeJesus, remember the ground out in the first inning, really hard to get Billy Hamilton over to third. Then the line out to short, and now the hard base hit up the middle. These have been quality at bats by DeJesus, taking advantage of the opportunity to play today.
Canada loves Joey Votto for good reason. And Votto's 2 for 2 on the night. A ground rule double, RBI, and a single. Has that average up to 289. Takes the pitch down low.
You have to wonder about DeJesus here, potentially on the move with 2 outs. Trying to get in a scoring position for Joey Votto. If he's unsuccessful, he can have Joey Votto lead off. Not the worst thing in the world. The on-base percentage that he brings to the table every day. Of course, the downside is Yadier Molina that you're trying to steal against.
Breaking ball, 2 balls and no strikes. DeJesus is 3 for 4 in stolen bases on the season. Joey Votto through May was hitting .213. In July, he led the major leagues hitting .413. That's quite the difference. He's always been a guy with a great eye. Critics have said sometimes it's too good of an eye.
Well, here's what gets so interesting about the Joey Votto conversation for me. It's not he's got the great eye. He knows the strike zone as good as anybody does in Major League Baseball, and he has a plan that he is not going to abandon. The critics start to roll in and say, well, should you be expanding that zone, especially in RBI situations? And Joey Votto says no, he's not going to do it, and you can't blame him. This is what works for him. This is why he's put up the numbers that he has over the course of his career. And you see right there, taking a strike in a 3-1 count, or excuse me, 3-0, not liking the call. And Joey Votto, I think, in a good way, has a little bit of attitude about it. Say, I know the strike zone. And he believed that ball right there was absolutely out of the zone.
And how rare is this? You don't see this very much anymore either. I mean, it's a 3-1 count. Look at where he is holding the bat. He chokes up on his bat.
This is the way Joey Votto does it. But these are the kind of interesting counts. Would he chase something on the corner if you had a runner on a move or whatever it may be? And the answer is going to be no. Joey Votto will not change. Joey Votto should never be blamed or be told he should change.
And Joey Votto works the walk. That is his 78th walk of the year. And that is the second walk of the game issued by Wainwright. First and second, 2 outs, and Wainwright is up to 96 pitches. Now Adam Duvall, who's got 69 RBIs on the season, trying to add to the lead right now for the Reds. First pitch curveball, didn't have that snap, and now Yadier Molina wants to go out and speak with Wainwright. And in from second base comes Colton Wong.
You wonder if this is more about strategy, or we have seen Adam Wainwright shaking off a pretty decent amount tonight, maybe a little bit more than usual. And sometimes if you're not feeling your best, or if Adam Wainwright's starting to feel a little bit differently as he gets tired, as the pitch count climbs up, there may be a pitch that he likes more than the other, and something that is a little bit different than what Yadier Molina is used to seeing. And so that's why you go out there and have that conversation. What's feeling good right now? Slow him down, give him a little bit of a breather, and find out what is the strategy that he feels best about in trying to get out of this inning.
Breaking ball off the end of the bat. 1-1. 2-1. Here to Duvall. Pitch number 100 coming up here for Wainwright. Bottom half of the 5th inning. First and second, 2 outs. A single by DeJesus, a walk to Votto. And he misses outside, and now 3-1 to the dangerous Adam Duvall with Brendan Phillips on deck.
And this starts to feel very atypical of Adam Wainwright. 2 walks tonight, falling behind. This is a guy who has had exceptional control throughout his entire career. And this is fatigue that we're seeing right now at 100 pitches through 4 2/3 innings.
Ground ball, third base, Jerko able to make the play and help out Wainwright. He gets out of the inning, but 1 run does come across on the Barnhart home run. We are through 5. It's 2-1 Cincinnati. We go to the top of the 6th here in Cincinnati. 2-3-4 in the order. Brandon Moss leading off against Dan Straley, who has retired 7 in a row and 9 of 10 since the Wainwright homer back in the 3rd. Moss 0 for 2, reaching the fielder's choice back in the 1st and a fly out to right in the 3rd. Activated off the DL for tonight's game. Reaches out for 1 to right field. Duvall going back. That's over his head. 1 hops the wall. And Brandon Moss is into second with a leadoff double. 14th double of the year for Brandon Moss. And Duvall in right field is still kneeling. And now he's up.
You see the pitch down here. Looked like an off-speed changeup. And a really good swing here by Brandon Moss. Just enough to get to the barrel to the ball. And Adam Duvall new to right field, and we talked about it before. The angles are going to be different regardless, or whatever position you're playing in the outfield. He actually came in, tried to cut that ball off, didn't realize it was hit as hard as it was, and so the route was not perfect and ultimately cost him a double. Now, it still would have been a great play that he would have had to make to catch that ball, but it's the route in which he tried to angle it is where the mistake was.
So now we've seen Duvall. That was a tough play. We saw Piscotty struggle in center field on the RBI double by Votto back in the 1st. And we'll see now if St. Louis can capitalize here. Holiday 1 for 2, a strikeout and a double. Did he go the appeal to first base? He did not, says Scott Berry. 1 ball, 1 strike to Holliday.
Dan Straley trying to entice Matt Holliday with that slider again. Matt Holliday does a good job not letting that barrel cross the front of the plate, but the more times you're going to see a pitch, a little bit easier it's going to be to lay off that pitch. But Matt Holliday still thinking about biting on that slider.
Breaking ball, straightaway center. Hamilton breaks back. He's got a good arm out there, tagging up. Moss to third, the relay throw, and they will hold it up. DeJesus eats it, so going to third base is Moss. Runner on third with 1 out on a fly out by Holliday. Matt Adams, a walk and a strikeout. With the shift on, the infield in. Just about everybody, or 3 players on the right side of the infield. DeJesus about even with the bag. This is down the left field line. Long run for Schebler. That'll reach the seats. A job right now for Matt Adams. Lift the ball in the air, get it deep enough to score Brandon Moss and tie this game at 2.
Well, he's got a couple of ways he can get this run in. You also have the infield in, and so obviously you have to go based on the pitch that you have, and you just want to hit the ball hard somewhere. But if it's something that's low, I'm trying to hit that hard ground ball too. Anything you can do to get this run in. Obviously the Cincinnati Reds not conceding the run right now, and Dan Straley's a pretty good contact guy. So Matt Adams just trying to find any way he can to get Brandon Moss home.
The Cardinals so good on the road this year, 31-19, best in baseball. Adams takes the pitch for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mike Matheny proud of his club for the way they just grind. This is one of those situations, trying to grind out a run. Fouls it back.
Straley's got a very interesting task here, especially at this point in the count. 1-2. The ideal situation, of course, is that you can get that strikeout. It's actually been a little bit better against lefties than righties this year. 195 to 221 on the batting average. But the changeup is a pitch that he likes to use against these left-handed hitters. But if he's going to throw it, it's got to be one that he wants out of the zone. But looks like they're going to try to go fastball in instead.
Up and in. 2-2. Johnny Peralta on deck. His first game back from the DL. Moss was on the DL with a left ankle sprain. Adams fouls it back again.
That's that changeup that I mentioned that he likes to use to the lefties. If it's a strike, it's most likely going to be a contact pitch, and that's a very traditional combination. The fastball up and in off the plate, come back with that changeup, puts that down a little further or a little bit more on the corner. Maybe you can get that swing and miss, but he also doesn't want to go to that 3-2 count. So lots of options here. They're going to go slider down and in and maybe try to go for the strikeout.
And that's exactly what they get. Barnhart will throw down to first. Strikeout 2-3. Having a hold at third is Moss. Good pitch by Straley. That's the 4th strikeout of the game and a big second out.
Now you think about the time and the location. First it was the fastball up and in, then the changeup away, and now the slider down and in, trying to get Matt Adams to chase and swing over the top of it. Like you mentioned, that is exactly what he did. It's a good game plan. And I tell you what, that also works really well when you know you have a catcher that you have confidence in, that you can bury that pitch with a runner on third base. There's a lot of times where if you don't have a great defensive catcher or you're not so confident in his blocking ability, you leave that pitch up a little bit because you're worried about the wild pitch or the passed ball. But Tucker Barnhart did an excellent job of getting down and getting in front of that baseball. Dan Straley knew he could throw that slider there.
So now with 2 outs, the infield goes back to normal depth. Johnny Peralta at the plate, 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out. And he chases that slider. 0-1. Peralta, he was on the DL with an injured ligament in his left thumb. The Cardinals 0 for 4 tonight with runners in scoring position. Peralta down the left field line. That's a fair ball. And we've got ourselves a tie game. Peralta into second with a 2-out RBI double.
Well, Johnny Peralta, as I mentioned, maybe needs a little bit of time to get comfortable. They went first pitch changeup, and then they came back with a second pitch changeup, but this one poorly located up over the middle of the plate when you're ahead 0-1. This is a pitch that Dan Strelly wants down, and Johnny Peralta not fooled at all. That changeup that was up in the zone, he smoked that thing down the left field line.
Johnny Peralta, Brandon Moss, both guys activated off the DL for tonight's game. Those two guys combined for this run here in the 6th. It was a leadoff double by Moss, and now a 2-out RBI double by Peralta, and Yadier Molina steps to the plate with a chance to give his team the lead. And he fouls the first pitch off. 0-1. He's had a couple of loud outs to center field to Billy Hamilton.
Absolutely, and Dan Strelly knows that. Tucker Barnhart knows that, and they go through those at-bats and how they got there, and now to try to counteract and mix it up and do something a little bit different. Because hard contact over time is eventually going to turn into hits. It's been 2 outs so far here for Yadier Molina, but another mistake, we could be looking at a 3-2 baseball game.
Popped up in the infield. Phillips at second. Makes the catch to end the inning, but a couple of doubles. And we are tied through 5.5, 2-2 Cardinals and Reds. Today on UFC Fight Night, wild and unpredictable meets cool and collected when undefeated rising star Yair Rodriguez takes on Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres. UFC Fight Night begins Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. So wild and unpredictable meets cool and collected. It's like tonight's broadcast team.
I'm going to guess the guy on the right. Mr. Wild and Unpredictable. Just a guess based on the hair. Could be completely wrong. I guess you never know.
Hey,
I don't want to stereotype.
A new pitcher for the Cardinals. It's their new acquisition at the trade deadline, Zach Duke. They acquired him from minor league outfielder Charlie Tilson from the White Sox. 53 games, 2-0, a 2.63 ERA, 37 2/3 innings, 42 strikeouts, 16 walks. And he faces Brandon Phillips, 1 ball, 1 strike. 53 games, an American League high prior to the trade. A lefty out of the pen for Mike Matheny.
This is a really nice pickup, I think, here for the St. Louis Cardinals. Kind of a sneaky move. Zach Duke has a contract that runs through next year, so this is just not a rental piece that they got, and they got themselves a reliever that they can use not just in lefty specialist situations. You see him here in the 6th inning in a 2-2 game, and Zach Duke has done a pretty good job against righties as well. The lefty numbers are so-so. The righty numbers are really good, and this is a former starter who has changed his arm angle a little bit and has really extended his career as a reliever.
Missing inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Phillips.
Take a quick look at this right here from Zach Duke. Almost looked like he was trying to catch Brandon Phillips off guard. Never completely came set. And he goes with a quick pitch, which is effective if you throw a strike. More often than not, you're going to catch a guy off guard. And Brandon Phillips smiling a little bit. You got to put that one in the back of your mind. Never know when Zach Duke's going to break that out again.
Fouling it back is Phillips, who's 0 for 2, a fly out and a strikeout. You know, Adam Wainwright, his night is done. They'll get a no decision. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, both earned, a couple of walks and 6 strikeouts. In the air, center field, Piscotty is there for the first out here in the 6th. Nice night for a baseball game here in Cincinnati. Scott Schebler singled his last time up, is also fouled out to third base. The numbers with the big league club don't look good, but the numbers in AAA are awesome. Back up the middle against the shift, and he gets it by Peralta. So back-to-back singles for Schebler, and he's now 2 for 3, and he slaps his hands together. He's happy.
Oh, I mentioned it. Zach Duke has actually been better against righties than lefties. Trying to go inside there to Schebler. He pulls his ball across, ends up finishing middle away. It's not that the shift didn't work there. A lot of times it's a matter of, do you execute the pitch? Now the infielders are expecting a fastball in, and so they adjust accordingly and even start to lean a little bit. When you miss your spot and the guy hits the ball hard up the middle, there's not a lot you can do about that.
He has an aggressive swing at the plate, does Schebler. Suarez takes the first pitch outside for a ball. Eugenio Suarez 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fly out to left. Bottom half of the 6th, all tied up at 2. Inside, 2-0. On the outside corner at 91.
You think about a new pitcher coming to a new team, trying to get adjusted. Yadier Molina and Zach Duke obviously never played together, but Molina knows this guy. He's faced him 43 times in the course of his career, so he knows a lot about Zach Duke's repertoire, what pitches he has. That makes that adjustment just a little bit easier.
Fouled back, 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Suarez.
And on the pitcher side of it, anytime you come to a new organization and you know you have a catcher like Yadier Molina, it's also a lot easier just to shake yes a lot, knowing that he's done his work and he's got a plan, and he certainly has the great history.
Well, you have been traded, you've gone to different organizations, so when you are a new pitcher, what do? Go to that catcher, say, here's what I throw, and, you know, put down this number, whatever. A strikeout, hold that thought, because there are 2 outs. It's time for a game break. Let's go back to LA and check in with Chris Myers. All right, thanks, Chris. Okay, now you can let us know what you do as a pitcher when you get traded.
Well, you absolutely have that conversation. You talk about where you are right now, because even though Molina has faced Zach Duke a bunch, knows about the repertoire, knows about the stuff, but where are you now? How are you getting guys out right now? Where are you most comfortable? And there's going to be some times where there'll be a bumper or 2 in the road. We saw with Johnny Cueto last year. He went through a 5-start streak with Salvador Perez, who was as good as anybody behind the plate, where they just could not get on the same page. So the communication becomes key. But nothing beats the experience of getting out there during a game in the heat of competition and seeing what really works for a guy. I mean, think about it from the other side. Jonathan Lucroy, we just heard about him in that update. He's going through that with an entire pitching staff right now in Texas. That is not an easy thing to do.
Tucker Barnhart, the switch hitting catcher, turning around to bat from the right side against the lefty Duke. And he takes the pitch inside. 2 balls and no strikes. 2 outs, bottom half of the 6th. Give me one player, the guy who was traded during this trade deadline, who you think will have the biggest impact the rest of this season.
Well, that's a good one. It's going to be tough. I tell you what, it's so hard not to believe that Aroldis Chapman is not going to be getting big outs in big games in the postseason. The regular season, not as much. I think the Cubs were division winners anyway, but postseason time, Aroldis Chapman could be that guy.
3 balls and no strikes to Barnhart. I think it's Chapman or Miller. It's one of those 2.
Well, they're going to be getting big outs in big situations, right? I mean, that's the thing that you're going to see whenever you bring in those kinds of arms. Mark Melanson will be doing some special things for the Washington Nationals as well. I think they were catching maybe a little bit of heat here, feeling it from the Miami Marlins, but those late inning guys are difficult to usually get, but there was quite a few of them available this deadline.
Barnhart taken all the way, takes a strike, 3-1. Outside, ball 4. Now Straley, he was in the on-deck circle with 78 pitches. He is now being called back with first and second. He is being called back to the dugout. And the pinch hitter is going to be Tyler Holt. So Tyler Holt, and that's what this National League game does. Straley, who is pitching well. I mean, you go 78 pitches through 5 innings. That's a pretty good number.
Absolutely. It looked like he easily had a couple more in him, but you mentioned it, the National League game, when you get into that Cincinnati Reds bullpen, which a couple of months ago was something you wanted to do, not as much lately. They've been a lot better, but a big pinch hit situation here. Be interesting to watch Zach Duke. A lot of times pinch hitters looking for something early, first pitch to jump on. And so the counter to that is throwing an off-speed pitch with your first pitch to a pinch hitter.
Tyler Holt against Zach Duke. And the breaking ball is low for ball 1. The Reds are 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Holt .217 on the year, no home runs, 7 RBIs. Backdoor breaking ball misses. 2 balls and no strikes.
It's 2 breaking balls that you just saw from Zach Duke, and that was the plan. Now, unfortunately, he was unable to get those in the zone, and so if you're Holt, now you sit back and you look for a fastball. Now, the thing with Zach Duke and that angle that he comes from, that ball's going to have some movement on it. It's not going to be that straight. It's a pitch that he can throw behind in the count to still generate ground balls, and you can get that over-aggressive hitter.
Timeout at the plate. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th inning, 2-2 ball game. Brian Price going to a pinch hitter here in the pitcher spot. Now, of course, Dan Straley, not a good hitting pitcher.
Well,
0 for 2 on the night. He's 0 for the season, 0 for 32 with, I believe, 28 strikeouts. So in this situation, this is one where you got a runner in scoring position. You're trying to get that run in.
Oh, absolutely, and it's the point that you go for it. But this is so fascinating to me. Watching Molina, watching Duke. What do you want to do here? What pitch do you want to throw? He's got a 59% ground ball rate, and that's because of the movement on the fastball. I'm thinking he wants to throw that fastball, try to get Holt to swing over the top of it or hit the top half of the ball. Molina might have wanted to do something else.
3 balls and no strikes. Seth Maness is up in the bullpen for the Cardinals. Billy Hamilton, the leadoff man, is on deck. And a 4-pitch walk to the pinch hitter. Bases are loaded. Back-to-back walks by Zach Duke. And a decision coming up here for Matheny. With Hamilton the switch hitter, does he want him batting righty or lefty? And Duke, who is having trouble finding the plate right now.
This is interesting, and now here we go. Yadier Molina, slow stroll as he goes out to talk to Zach Duke, and that was a directive from the dugout and Mike Matheny. And what he's trying to do right now is buy himself a little bit of time. Was not expecting Zach Duke to get into this kind of trouble, and you just wonder that by the time Molina walks back, will we see that pitching change? These are things now that are timed, and it looks like Mike Matheny may be trying to give Seth Maness a little bit of extra time to get ready. You see the phone conversation. That one goes like this: is he ready? How far away is he? How many does he need? Don't forget you get 8 more when you get out there. And Mike Matheny wants to know with confidence that his pitcher is ready before he puts him in this bases loaded situation.
Here comes Matheny. And it looks like we're going to have ourselves a double switch. The pitcher spot is due up third in the next inning. Greg Garcia is going to come in to play shortstop. Johnny Peralta is going to exit the game.
Ideally, in these situations, you'd like to take the last batted out of the game, but that's Molina. He's not coming out of this game, and so you go one up, and that's Johnny Peralta, and that's why he is now out of this baseball game. And it's actually going to be Kevin Segras, and that's why they needed a little bit more time. Seth Maness had been throwing, Segras had not, so they bought him a little bit more time to make sure he's ready to get in here.
So it will be the left-hander Segras coming in with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Kevin Segrist is in. Billy Hamilton at the plate. Bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. And Hamilton, the switch hitter, batting righty, takes the first pitch for a strike. Segrist's numbers on the season: 5-2, a 2.45 ERA, 40 1/3 innings, 40 strikeouts, 15 walks. And he is quickly ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
And if you're wondering about why do you go from one lefty to another, well, first of all, Zach Duke obviously having a little bit of an issue with his last 2 hitters throwing strikes, but also this is a completely different kind of lefty. This is a traditional arm angle, a little bit of a bigger fastball, and a guy who's been a little bit more dominant against righties.
The 0-2 just missing inside. 1-2. Schebler at third, Barnhart at second, and Holtz at first. Hamilton behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And a 2-2 game. Fastballs outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Zach Duke making his Cardinals debut. 8 of his last 9 pitches were balls. So he is out, Segrist is in, and Hamilton, you just saw his numbers with the bases full. And Billy Hamilton tonight in 4 at-bats has now seen 25 pitches. The 2-2. Low, 3-2. And now the merry-go-round will begin.
What an advantage here for the Cincinnati Reds. Billy Hamilton right now knowing he can zone in on the strike zone. Runners will be in motion right here. Poke something to the outfield. That's going to be at least 2 runs.
They're making their noise here at the Great American Ballpark. The 3-2. On the inside corner, called strike 3. Hamilton thought it was too far inside. Phil Cuzzy rang him up, and Segrist gets out of it. We are through 6, tied at 2. Follow live baseball with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game, video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Top of the 7th, the new pitcher Ross Ohlendorf in for the Reds to face Jed Jerko. And Jerko, first pitch in the air, deep center. Hamilton on the run, won't get there. It's gone. And just like that, the Cardinals go on top 3-2.
It's been incredible to see what Jed Jerko has done. The power tear that he has been on as of late. That whole inning, the drama that happened, the loaded bases, the pitching change, and nothing goes across the board. And one pitch into that, here come the St. Louis Cardinals, and Jed Jerko completely changing that momentum. It has been incredible to watch what he has done. Comes in as a role player, a bench guy, and as of late, driving the baseball out of the ballpark. Jed Jerko, a different man all of a sudden in this Cardinals uniform.
His 15th home run of the season. 3-2, Cardinals now on top. That was the 21st home run the Reds bullpen has allowed to the first batter they have faced. The most in the majors, a franchise record. And Colton Wong lines one to right. There's Duvall for the first out here in the 7th.
You see that look on Ollendorf's face. He's faced 2 hitters and has let up 2 missiles. And fortunately for him, the one from Colton Wong was right at Duvall for an out. But some hard hit balls here within the first couple of pitches against Ross Ollendorf.
And now Greg Garcia, who came in as part of that double switch. His first at bat. 296, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. Came in to play shortstop. Hitting in the 9-hole. Takes the fastball down low. You think about this, though. The Reds have had their opportunities. The last 3 innings, they've left 7 men on base. They left the bases loaded in the last inning. They left 2 men on in the 5th and 2 men on in the 4th. And now you come out in the 7th and the first batter, Jerko, homers to center field. And if you're Brian Price, that's the look you have. Like, man, you know, we've had our chances. Inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. And really, Brian Price, he pushed the right buttons in what he did. He got a 2-out walk. He then brought in a pinch hitter for his pitcher, Straley. Even though Straley was doing well, you gotta go for it at that point. Gets the bases loaded, has your leadoff man on, has your leadoff man up, and Hamilton works the full count, and then looks at a close strike 3.
And one that was probably too close to take. But You're right, they did everything right in that inning except finish it off and get the big hit and what they needed to do. And it's going to be frustrating when you're playing these kind of close games against good teams. Those are the moments, the little ones that matter, and who's going to break through when those big opportunities come.
The 2-2 to Garcia, and he goes down swinging. 2 away here in the 7th.
So interesting, Ross Ollendorf. He's kind of a throwback in what he does. But watch this in the delivery. This absolutely fascinates me. He does not have the ball in his hand right now. You think about all the pitches that you throw and how the different grips that come along with that. Not to mention all the movement that he has. It is really, really fascinating to watch what Ollendorf does. You don't see many guys, if any, do that at the big league level. And I think about throw a split or a slider, whatever it is, and you think about the different pitches and the grips that are required. The fact that he leaves the ball in his glove is fascinating.
Piscotty, first pitch, fouls one, first base. Votto over by the wall is there, and he can't hang on to it. The fan, look at Votto, look at him and says, dude, you're a Reds fan.
Fans got to know better than this, as Joey Votto's got a great beat on this ball. This guy's not even realizing it now. With that being said, I don't know if I'm going to blame the fan completely. Yes, he should have gotten out of the way. Maybe he was distracted, as Joey Votto reminds him what team he is rooting for. But that fan's hand did not hit the ball at all. I'm not saying that he didn't get in the way a little bit. He did. I think Joey Votto could still catch that ball, and the fan talking about, why did Joey Votto pull on my Cincinnati Reds logo? But watch this right here. He's kind of going for it, but don't tell me Joey Votto can't catch that ball.
No, Votto should catch it.
know if I can completely blame the fan. Yeah, he's in the way a little bit, but I'm not going to put that on him. Take it easy on that guy. He's just a fan. Loves the game. Yeah, probably want to stay away from it, but it's hard to think about those reactions in the heat of the moment.
I'm going to venture to say that if there's a ground ball out to end the inning, that fan's not getting the ball from Votto. Swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes to Piscotty. I tell you what, this is an interesting matchup right here. This is probably one of the more intelligent matchups you'll find. Piscotty, who went to Stanford, against Ohlendorf, who went to Princeton.
All Ivy League all the time. Ohlendorf, though, hoping to become the best friend of that guy, that fan, because if you can get Piscotty out here, all is forgiven and there will be no damage and no end result to what happened there with Joey Votto.
I feel bad for him because you know right now he's
putting his defense together and he's laying it out to the people that he's around and he's trying to explain the situation. When he sees the replay, he's going to feel a little bit better.
The 0-2 and Piscotty goes down swinging. Jerko with a leadoff home run. We go to stretch time here in Cincinnati and the Cardinals now lead 3-2. Kevin Segura struck out Billy Hamilton to end the threat in the 6th. With the bases loaded, now he'll face Ivan DeJesus Jr., Joey Votto, Adam Duvall here in the 7th with a lead, 3-2. And the first pitch is fouled back, 0-1. Justin Kutcher alongside C.J. Nitkowski here with you on FS1. DeJesus 1 for 3, a single his last time up. He's also lined out and grounded out to second. And while we have a minute, want to send out our well wishes to our friend and colleague, our producer, Mike Helling, who's battling some health issues back in Colorado. Longtime St. Louis Cardinals producer, or college football producer with us on FS1. Mike, I know you're watching back in Colorado. Get well soon. We can't wait to see you back with us on baseball and football. We're all thinking about you.
Absolutely, and well said, Justin. We've had the privilege of working with Mike whenever we get a national game and get to use a producer. It's always nice when you have someone that's locked into the team the way that Mike has been with the Cardinals. And I'm with you. We are all looking forward to Mike getting back and doing what he does best.
1 ball, 2 strikes here to DeJesus, leading off in the 7th. Going the other way, and that will go foul. Well, DeJesus is 1 for 3 on the night, and he's 1 for 3 in his career versus Segrist. Off the end of the bat, Wong makes a difficult play look easy. 1 away. Well, now Joey Votto will step to the plate. There's 2 for 2, an RBI double, a single, and a walk. The last guy that I can think of to choke up like that was Barry Bonds.
You don't see it too often. Tony Gwynn, right, as well, I believe. Did it, if I remember correctly. Used a smaller bat. You don't see that too often, or at least nearly as much in Major League Baseball. But not too much you can say that's going wrong with Joey Votto. He continues to do it year after year. Perennial MVP, Ken, the top 10 hitter, I think, without a doubt, every year in Major League Baseball. You see the struggles against Kevin Segrist that he has had in those 12 at bats, but there's that home run in there as well. And I can tell you this, as a former lefty specialist, you don't forget that. You remember exactly what he hit, and you try to stay away from it.
Fastball on 2-0 in there, 2 balls and 1 strike. I'm trying to think if Jason Giambi choked up sometimes.
I don't remember Giambi choking up. I faced him a decent amount of times over the course of my career. Played with him in New York as well with the Yankees. I don't remember if he did. It sticks out because, as you mentioned, it's so rare you just don't see it very often.
Back up to middle, and Joey Votto is 3 for 3 on the night, has reached base all 4 times. Well, that July that he had when he was so hot has now carried over into August. The last couple years, July has been kind to Votto. 405 last year, 413 this year.
That is unbelievable when you think about that. And we'll say, what is it about the month of July? Obviously hot and humid here in Cincinnati, but really catching your groove. A lot of guys will see it. Slow struggles in April. We talk about why is offense down. A lot of times it has to do with the weather, but not an issue come summertime for Joey Votto.
Now Adam Duvall at the plate, looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 3. Missing low and inside for ball 1. Duvall, a couple of ground outs to third and a strikeout.
It's a good fastball from Kevin Segrist, the exact same fastball that he struck out Billy Hamilton with to end the 6th inning. 93 miles an hour, dotted and down and in. Not a lot of room for error when you're going down and in against right-handed pitchers, hitters when you're a lefty.
On the inside corner, 1-2. Now, when you watch Segrist pitch, he is pitching from the extreme third base side of the rubber. As a pitcher, why do you throw from one side or the other of the rubber?
A lot of times it depends on what your repertoire is all about, how you like to get hitters out. If you are a heavy fastball, changeup kind of lefty, that's a good spot to be. What you lose when you go over there would be your lefty on lefty advantage with the big breaking ball, but that's not the issue for Kevin Segrist, and so he's got an advantage against righties because the ball stays in the zone longer. We also saw him, we see him like to use that fastball inside to righties as well, so he's already on that side of the plate or on that side of the pitching rubber. He doesn't have to cut that ball to get it in, and so it's a comfortable spot for him. It's a great spot for lefties if you're predominantly fastball changeup.
In the dirt. It looked like off the bounce that caught Duvall. And now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You see this now. Here is the breaking ball. Not too many of them from Kevin Segrist. Doesn't throw it too often, but I mentioned his repertoire. 69% fastballs, 23% changeups. I'll let you do the math and add it up, but it's pretty close to 100. And what that tells you is exactly why he is on that third base side of the rubber.
Molina looking in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here to Duvall, 1 away. Bottom of the 7th. Votto on at first. Missing outside. Now 3-2.
92% most of them. 92%.
Oh, I didn't know you actually wanted to do the math.
I'll give you a little bit of time, making sure.
Oh no, my bad.
I actually needed that amount of time to add it up, to be honest with you.
I thought it was more of a rhetorical statement from you.
I didn't know there was going to be math.
That's why we have Ed Svita here. My gosh. Breaking ball hit deep to left field. 4-3 Reds.
It's always easy to second guess, but we just talked about the repertoire of Kevin Seagrist and what he does so well, which is fastball, changeup, and I think he thought he had a chance to get Adam Duvall looking at a breaking ball, so he just split the plate with it, almost a get-me-over breaking ball on a 3-2 count. Look at that thing sitting right in the middle, and Adam Duvall not fooled by it at all. See, he hits that thing high into the Cincinnati sky, and Kevin Seagrist will tell you, easy to second guess, but a regrettable decision when he goes to a pitch that he does not use that often. And when you're on that side of the rubber, that's not the pitch you want to throw.
Seagrist will leave as the Reds now lead 4-3. Bottom of the 7th, 1 out. Bases are now empty after the 2-run shot by Adam Duvall. And Matt Bowman is now the pitcher. And Bowman delivers a ball to Brandon Phillips. The numbers on Bowman: 36 games, 1-3, a 3.00 ERA. 34 walks, 12 strikeouts in 45 innings. Opponents batting .204 against him. And he falls behind 2-0 here to Phillips. How about this game, though? The Reds went up 1-0. The Cardinals tied it 1-1. The Reds went up 2-1. The Cardinals tied it 2-2. On the outside corner, 2-1. The Cards then went up 3-2, and now the Reds take the lead 4-3. And we're in the bottom of the 7th inning. And that's after the Reds squandered opportunities. Three balls and a strike here to Phillips, who's 0 for 3 on the night.
Well, it's been a very well pitched game, but it's just those couple of mistakes that hitters from both sides have taken advantage of. It was the Ohlendorf first pitch to Jet Jerko that he hit for a bomb, and then that 3-2 hanging breaking ball from Kevin Segrist. The worst of the 3 pitches in his repertoire. Thought he could get away with one, and he could not. It's been one of those games. Mistakes are going to stick out, and it's a matter of who capitalizes on the last one when this thing is all said and done.
3-2 now the count to Phillips. Broken back, ground ball, third. Jerko, the pirouette, low throw, and Adams can't dig it out.
It was a broken bat by Brandon Phillips, not hit well, but a tough hop. And Jerko, you talked about the spin, and he looked like he kind of just babied that throw a little bit. Didn't want to throw it away as his body was going towards second base as he made that throw. And Matt Adams, the way he reacted, absolutely expected himself to be able to make that pick. There was some room in there. It was a long pick, but he's unable to come up with it.
Still waiting to get a ruling on the play. My guess is it'll be a hit.
Most likely it will. Whenever you have an infielder that's on the move in the air, whatever it may be, it would have been a great play if Jed Jerko made it. It would have taken a perfect throw. He was unable to do that, and my guess is, benefit of the doubt, this is going to be a hit.
Nope. Going to be an E5 on the throw.
My guess is that this is probably going to be an error.
My guess is as good as your guess.
I don't see it on the scoreboard. Where you hear an error, dude? I still see 2 zeros.
Well, Scott Schebler is at the plate now. He gets backed up. 1 ball and 1 strike.
There it is.
Yep. As a pitcher, I would think that you'd be, you know, a little happier with the error.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. But I'm so used to seeing, and you've seen it over the years, that it seems like less and less is expected of fielders, and so you see more balls that are called hits over errors.
Adams steps on the bag. Now they have Phillips in a run down the throwback, and Phillips gets back safely. Wow. When do you see that?
And that should have been a rundown, and Mike Matheny's going to ask for a little time as the St. Louis Cardinals are going to take a look at this on video. But Matt Adams steps on the bag, and zero hesitation from Brandon Phillips, and I think he might be out. We'll see as we get another look at it. See if that tag gets there before. He's got him there. Yeah, he's going to be called out. And you see Brandon Phillips has already come off the field. And here is where replay becomes so important as we have this conversation of keeping the pace of play. Everybody in the stadium has now seen that replay. You and I have seen it. We know he's out. Brandon Phillips knows that he's out as he's sitting in the dugout, and this is the part that has to pick up here for Major League Baseball. I tell you what, had Brandon Phillips been safe, that would have been an incredible play. It's good thinking on his part. He was dead to rights with that throw going to shortstop. He thought he was going to try to actually get into a rundown, but he just went hard all the way back in to first base.
It should be a 3-6-3 double play, but it's not your typical 3-6-3 double play. And there it is. He's out. That will do it here in the 7th. But a 2-run shot by Duvall, and it's now 4-3 Cincinnati. So this was during the last inning during a pitching change. Joey Votto had a baseball and he was writing a note on it. And then as the inning came to an end, he went over to the fan who he had the little brush up with, and this is what he wrote. "Thanks for being so understanding when I acted out of character." And he signed it, Joey Votto.
That's awesome. What a cool thing for Joey Votto to do, knowing that there could be, first of all, some pressure from fans, right? Because you can feed into that as the player. And if you're angry with the fan in that situation, some other fans may get on that guy. And I don't blame Joey Votto at all in the heat of battle and being a little bit discouraged. I mean, we'll never forget Moises Alou's reaction to what happened on the Bartman ball. He was angry and changed that man's life. And so Joey Votto does a really nice job stepping in.
Moss to straightaway center. Is this another one? It is! We're tied again! Off of Blake Wood, who has just come into the game.
Well, first of all, Brandon Moss absolutely smoked this baseball, but the stat that we brought up earlier, it absolutely blows my mind. That is now the 22nd time that a Cincinnati Reds reliever has come in and allowed a home run to the first batter that he has faced. The fastball right down the middle. Brandon Moss, who has showed a ton of power this year. I mentioned it earlier. That is now his 18th home run, all of them against right-handed pitching, but a big one in this game, tying it at 4.
The first pitch to Matt Holliday is taken for a strike. What a game. Wow. Tied up now at 4. The Cardinals, 7 hits, 6 of them for extra bases. Matt Holliday has one of those extra base hits. He's got a double. Brendan Moss, that game-tying home run here in the 8th. That's nice, coming off the DL. What do you do? A game-tying home run in the 8th inning. He's also got a double. 2 runs scored.
Don't forget the big double by Johnny Peralta as well. And guys contributing, coming off that disabled. You always worry about where they are. They can go to rehab assignment all day long. They can do simulated games, but you don't see live big league pitching. You always worry about timing and getting comfortable, but in the case of Brandon Moss and Johnny Peralta, that is obviously not a problem.
Now, of course, Peralta is out of the game after the double switch. Two balls and 2 strikes. You mentioned before how Matt Holliday is still one of the strongest guys in baseball. You don't want to see something fun? Watch Matt Holliday take BP. He hits some mammoth home runs. And he takes a pitch on the outside corner, called strike 3. First out here in the 8th.
Well, this is just absolute pain. Look at this fastball, 2-seam variety. That movement extremely late, and when you hit your spot, you don't have to move your glove. And Tucker Barnhart just received that one well, but dotted it up on the corner. It's a tough pitch even for Matt Holliday.
Matt Adams to center field. This will stay in the park, and Billy Hamilton will make the catch on the warning track. I mean, as soon as they built this park, the Great American Ballpark, people knew the ball would be flying out of here. But it's like every time a ball is hitting the air right now, you feel like it's going out.
And they are loud outs too tonight, and some guys getting some great swings. And yeah, when you're in a ballpark like this, anytime the ball's in the air and it sounds pretty good coming off the bat, you feel like there's a chance it's going to be a home run. But fortunately, that one was not for Cincinnati Reds fans.
Pinch hitter here now in the pitcher spot is Tommy Pham, and Pham to right center field. The Cardinals are back on top. Okay, so it's every other one that goes out.
And Tommy Pham has done a really nice job in getting some opportunities in center field lately, coming off the bench right now. What did I tell you earlier? When you're facing that pinch hitter, you're always concerned about the first pitch. You got to be careful, and we call that a cement mixer. Look at that ball just spinning right in the middle of the plate. Tommy Pham is not going to let that ball go by in a pinch hit situation, and he hammers it to right center.
The 8th home run of the year for Pham. A pinch hit home run to give the St. Louis Cardinals the 5-4 lead, and this has been one heck of a game on a Tuesday night here in Cincinnati. Yadier Molina heading the count 1-0. He goes the other way. Yadier Molina into the corner. Molina heading for second. Here comes the throw, cut off by Phillips, and it's a 2-out double for Molina.
You mentioned it earlier. We were talking about the offense of the St. Louis Cardinals, and you look at batting average coming into this game, and you're not blown away at 257, but runs scored. They know how to score runs. 533 coming into this one, third best in all of baseball. They've done a fantastic job. There's a lot going on here with this offense besides just the batting average. The home runs, also atypical of what we've seen from Cardinals teams in the past, but Yadier Molina continuing to get it done. Hobbling a little bit as we saw him running around first base, but Cardinals were swinging it tonight.
That double extends his hitting streak to 16 games, the longest of his career. Puts him in scoring position now for Jed Jerko, who, you know, back in the 7th inning we thought, oh yeah, Jerko, he's the hero right now for the Cardinals, and then the bottom half of the 7th happened, but he hit that home run leading off against Ross Ollendorf. At the time, it gave the Cardinals a 3-2 lead, and now he grounds one to short. DeJesus Jr. makes the play, but the fireworks here in Cincinnati. Brandon Moss and Tommy Pham with homers. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's now 5-4 St. Louis. All right, thank you very much, Chris. Tonight's game summary sponsored by Budweiser. Well, it's this. Wainwright with a solo homer in the 3rd tied the game at 1. Barnhart a solo homer in the 5th gave the Reds a 2-1 lead. Then Jerko the solo in the 7th put St. Louis up 3-2. Duvall a 2-run shot in the bottom half of the inning, 4-3 Cincy. Moss and Pham solos in the 8th. It's now 5-4, and we got changes. Jonathan Broxton now in to pitch. He faces a Eugenio Suarez and starts him off with a ball. Suarez, he's 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts and a fly out to left field. The 1-0. Inside. Now 2 balls and no strikes. The other changes. The outfield is different for St. Louis. Brandon Moss went from right field to left field. Piscotty went from center to right. And Tommy Pham, who hit the go-ahead home run in the top half of the inning as a pinch hitter, stays in the game at center. You got it? Good.
I don't have it, but I'm going to trust that what you have is right. And what you see there is the great flexibility.
You're finally learning.
Yeah, the great flexibility that Mike Matheny has to be able to move different guys around into the outfield, to be able to bring Brandon Moss, if he ever had to bring him into first base. Lots of things here happening for the St. Louis Cardinals, and really just speaks to such a trend that we're seeing around Major League Baseball to move so many guys. I mean, you've now taken out your starting shortstop, you've moved your starting center fielder. Flexibility is paramount in MLB in 2016.
Pulled foul by Suarez, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Broxton on the year is 3-2 with a 3.92 ERA. 45 games, 41 in the 3rd innings, 33 strikeouts, 19 walks. Bit too many walks for the liking. 201 opponent batting average. The big right-hander. Up high, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
See Yadier Molina there trying to do his best to make that fastball look like a strike. Bring his hands down just a little bit. He is so good receiving the ball, making those borderline pitches look like strikes, but Phil Cousy not falling for that one.
Now the 3-2. Pop foul out of play. We'll do it again. Suarez made a sparkling play in the infield at 3rd base. That came back in the 5th to rob Piscotty of a hit. Broxton played here in Cincinnati in 2012, 13, and 14. And we'll do it again at 3-2. At one point, Jonathan Broxton was one of the premier closers in baseball. And that's why, you know, talking about the trade deadline and the elite closers, that term elite is thrown around so easily. Missing up and in, ball 4. Mentioned those walks, and he has a leadoff walk here to Suarez in a 1-run game. But there are so few of those closers who have longevity, who have that dominance over a long period of time. And, you know, you look at the ones even right now, which guys have that longevity?
Well, the swing and miss stuff is so important. So when you have an Aroldis Chapman arsenal, when you have an Andrew Miller, Craig Kimbrell, you feel pretty good about these guys and their ability to sustain what they do. But it is not an easy thing. Relievers are fickle. We have the conversation all the time. Year to year, a lot can happen. It's a difficult thing to do, to be able to be ready for 162 games a year. You're not going to have to throw in that many, but you have to be ready every single day. And you're going to have some off days. And as we've seen so often, is you're going to see some guys have some off years as well. And so when you get a special guy like Mariano Rivera, of course, who did it for so long, it's just such an oddity. Billy Wagner during that same era. Now the guys that we have today, I mean, they've had issues here in St. Louis. How many times have they turned their closer over even during championship seasons? And they're going through that right now with Trevor Rosendahl, who was struggling, now on the DL. They found out no structural damage. So the news is that it's not going to be that bad, but they have made changes before, but yet they've still found a way to win it. So when you can get your hands on an Aroldis Chapman like the Cubs did, you go ahead and you do it.
2 balls and no strikes to Tucker Barnhart, who had a home run back in the 5th. And now it's 3 balls and no strikes, and Molina's going to go out and speak with Broxton.
A little frustration there from Molina, and I'm sure there's going to be some right now, at least internally, for Mike Matheny, thinking about trying to get a reliever to throw up a 0 right now, as this game has been a battle of going back and forth, and you get into the 8th inning and you need your guys to be able to come in and shut it down. You're not going to do it every night. Of course, those expectations are unrealistic, but when you walk the 7th hitter and then fall behind the 8-hole hitter. That's legitimate frustration that's going to come out. Yadier Molina doesn't want to see it, so he's trying to get Jonathan Broxton back on track.
Got to be thinking Barnhart taking here on 3-0. He is, and it's a 4-pitch walk, back-to-back walks by Broxton. And now we're going to have a pinch hitter. It's going to be Tony Renda. And Renda is going to be making his major league debut. And here comes Mike Matheny out from the dugout.
And this is one of those visits that probably is not resulting in a pitching change, I would guess. But Mike Matheny wants to have a word with Jonathan Broxton, getting him back on track. A little bit of a pep talk. You have to do it once in a while. They're few and far between. You have to pick your spots when you see your guy come out. Walk a couple of batters to start off the 8th inning. In a 1-run game, you're going to be frustrated. So the message is clear. You're out here because I want you out here. I need you in the zone. That's the only time you can do good things for your team right now. Trying to build that confidence up. You're dealing with a guy making his major league debut first at bat. It's a great candidate for a double play, and that's exactly what Mike Matheny hopes that he can get.
Well, let me ask you this. You're down by 1. You've got 2 men on, nobody out. Do you ask Renda to bunt here to get the 2 men in scoring position?
Well, it depends on the manager, and for me, I probably would. Now, I don't know anything about this player. Obviously, just gets to the big leagues. If I think he can handle the bunt, I probably would ask him to do it.
The corners are expecting it. They're in. The bunt is shown. The pitch is low and outside. Now, with that in mind, for Renda, only bunt a strike because Broxton obviously is struggling with his command.
Sure, and you may even tell him to take a pitch and give the fake bunt and continue to take one until you get one. But the idea of moving 2 runners up, and what are you going to do? Intentionally walk Billy Hamilton to load the bases? I don't know if they would necessarily go down that path.
Gets the bunt down. It's a good one. Adams has one play to first, and he throws it wide. Everybody's safe.
We just saw Renda hustle down the line right out of the box. He did a good job of deadening the baseball, getting the bunt down, but he wasn't satisfied with just that. Watch this hustle out of the box by Tony Renda. Stays in there, gets it down, head down and go. Matt Adams picks this baseball up, and you see him go to pump in the glove and just very tentative right there. Didn't set his feet. Feet were not moving toward first base. He babied that ball, and he ends up throwing it away.
It's going to be a sacrifice E3 and another pitching change in double switch now for the Cardinals. Bases are loaded. Nobody out. Bottom of the 8th inning. And Jonathan Broxton has nobody to blame but himself, walking the first 2 batters he faced, Suarez and Barnhart. And then a sacrifice bunt by the pinch hitter Renda. An error by Adams. And oh boy, things are getting interesting here in Cincinnati. Bases are loaded. Oh, is coming in. Oh my. Jonathan Broxton looking on right now. His team is in a precarious situation, leading 5-4. Bottom of the 8th, no outs, bases are loaded. Soon Hwan Oh is in, and he will face the top of the order, Billy Hamilton. And at this point, with Hamilton's speed, you're not looking for a double play. You're looking for an out, whether it's a force out at home or a strikeout. And Hamilton fouls the first pitch back. We've got more changes. Jeremy Hazelbaker has come into play left as part of this double switch. Brandon Moss goes from left field to first base. Matt Adams is now out with O on the mound.
What you're looking for is swings and misses, infield pop-ups, anything you can do to prevent that runner in third from scoring.
Up high, 1 ball and 1 strike. Hamilton walked, stole a base, and scored back in the first. Has a couple of strikeouts and a ground out since. His last at bat, 2 outs, bases loaded in the 6th, struck out on a full count, looking against Kevin Segrist. Fouls it back again, 1-2. You mentioned before how important it is to have a catcher that you trust so you can bury one in the dirt. There may not be a better catcher in baseball than the guy behind the plate right now for the Cardinals in Yadier Molina. If you want to bury one in the dirt, he's the guy you want back there.
Well, it's the slider that O has that he uses a lot. He also has the split finger, not as prominent for him, but yes, the confidence to throw that thing down right now as you go for the swing and miss.
Foul tipped off the glove of Molina. Staying alive is Hamilton. Suarez led off the inning with a walk against Broxton. Barnhart walked as well. Renda in his major league debut sacrifice E3. And Hamilton behind in the count, 1-2. Another 1-2. Foul tip into the mitt, 1 away. Cincinnati now 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight.
How about 3 strikeouts for Billy Hamilton, but maybe none bigger than in this situation. Talk about hitting spots, trying to go down and away, but every once in a while you're going to catch a break, and this ball ended up being up and in, and Billy Hamilton 0 chance at catching up to it. You mentioned the foul tip. Great hands by Molina.
1 away now for Ivan DeJesus Jr., who's 1 for 4. Single back in the 5th, couple of ground outs to second, a line out to short. Remember, this position in the order was actually Zach Kozar, but he was a late scratch, suffered a bruised thumb on a ground ball during BP. So it's DeJesus hitting here instead. Ground ball, middle infield, halfway. They got a double play set up. They got it out of the inning. Oh my for O. He does the job. Houdini-like. Bases loaded, nobody out. He gets out of it. 5-4 St. Louis. MLB showdown here on FS1. Big Papi and the Red Sox will be swinging for the fences, but Adrian Gonzalez and the Dodgers are out to show they have some power of their own. The action begins Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. And now greater coverage of baseball sponsored by T-Mobile. You just saw it. What a job by Soon-Hwan Oh. He strikes out Billy Hamilton for the first out, and then he gets to Jesus to ground into a 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. Gets out of the jam. And now a new pitcher, and it's Jumbo Diaz. And by the way, getting out of the jam took 6 pitches for O.
It was an excellent job. You go for that strikeout with the first batter, and then you see ultimately you can get that ground ball and get you out of the thing with 1 pitch, and that is exactly what he did. Great execution. He is a rookie, but when you think about his year spent in Korea and Japan, he has been in big situations before.
Wong to left field. Schebler is there, 1 away here in the 9th. Greg Garcia, who came in as part of a double switch, took over for Johnny Peralta at shortstop. Hits in the 9 spot. Now's the first one back. 0-1.
See that pitch right there at 97 miles an hour from Jumbo Diaz. He will average right around 96. A little bit of an up and down career for him, one that got started late in the big leagues, but you see the fastball, and that's something that the Cincinnati Reds get excited about and believe that he can be an impact reliever. Just a little bit more consistency. The off-speed stuff, the secondary stuff, excuse me, needs to be a little bit better in keeping him in the zone a little bit more, but he absolutely has the kind of stuff to turn into high leverage situations and executing big outs.
1 ball, 1 strike to Garcia. Now back again, 1-2. You know, I go back to that job by O in the inning, and a couple of things come to mind. One, the first time we had the Cardinals this year, and sitting down with Mike Matheny and asking him about O, he said this guy is just a bulldog. He always wants the ball. He just always wants it. When you go and you go to take the ball from him, he kind of looks at you like, what are you doing? And he wants to pitch every day. That's one thing. 2, to come into the situation, and obviously it's so different. I mean, this is a game on August 2nd, but to come in, bases loaded, 1-run game, 8th inning. I mean, the last time, it reminds me of seeing what, to me, flashback Game 7, 2003 ALCS, Mike Mussina coming in against the Red Sox, and he got out of it. And I know it's so different magnitude, the pressure and everything, but that's what my mind went back to. Just the way he did that, the way he stepped up, was what you want out of a guy like that in that position.
You don't get the nickname the Stone Buddha without being calm and cool and collected in big situations, and that is exactly O's nickname. One of the 2 that Baseball Reference has listed. The Final Boss, or Final Boss is the other. Love them both. They're fantastic nicknames, but you get that because you're a closer who has done it in big situations, and closers that have done it with the experience just don't get overwhelmed by these kinds of moments or those kinds of moments. And he executed when he had to, and even though we missed that spot against Billy Hamilton, there's enough stuff there for him to be able to get the swing and miss and get that first big strikeout.
A broken bat for Garcia. And you know that Matheny didn't want to have to go to his closer in the 8th inning in that situation, but he had to. And now you're thinking, if you're Matheny, man, it took him just 6 pitches to get out. I mean, that's a bonus on top of getting out of the inning.
Absolutely. And I wondered about it because you think almost, I don't know what the number is, probably 90% of the time, at least that runner at third is going to score in that situation and tie the game up.
Diaz covering the bag, gets over there in time. 2 away here in the 9th.
Don't be fooled by the size of Jumbo Diaz. He does a great job of getting over to first base and fielding his position. He's earned the walk back. Catch your breath, take your time, absolutely. But good athleticism here by the big man. Watch him get off right away. Doesn't even wait a second. Zero hesitation. The race is on, and he is there in plenty of time.
2 away, top of the order. It's Stephen Piscotty.
I want to finish this real quick, and I know we'll have a chance to talk about him a little bit more next inning, but you mentioned, not only he's done a great job this year as technically a rookie, but comes in at a salary of just $2.5 million. This was an excellent find by the St. Louis Cardinals and their Pacific Rim scouts. Deserve a lot of credit for identifying him, bringing him in here, and he's going to be a difference maker, taking over for Trevor Rosenthal with all the issues that he has had this year. It's a great job by that Pacific Rim scouting department.
So impressed by the Cardinals and their entire scouting department, whether it's in the Pacific Rim, here in the States, Latin America. Big swing at 97 by Piscotty. But the organizational depth that the Cardinals have put together to withstand all the injuries this year, to draft players like you had mentioned, Matt Adams, and have him come up and be a productive major league player. Whew. That's just, here's a fastball, see if you can hit it, and Piscotty's saying, okay, taking a big hack, and Jumbo Diaz winning on back-to-back pitches.
And elevating it too. That's the difference too. 97 down in the zone is a little bit easier to hit than 97 up at your eyes, but it looks good when it's coming in, and Piscotty's been unable to lay off of it, and it'll be interesting to see if they go up there again.
Up and in at 98. 2-2. Like a slider, Piscotty able to lay off.
The little thing I don't like about that, for me, that's the time you throw that pitch in the 1-2 count after you've elevated the fastball and he swings at it, changes eye level, see if you can get him to chase the slider, because now you put yourself in that situation where this ball now has to be over the heart of plate. You probably don't want to elevate too much here and taking that risk of walking Stephen Piscotty. We'll see if Jumbo can get it by him.
Couldn't get it by him down the right field line towards the pole, and that is going to be a foul ball. I've always wondered, how much of it, when you get a guy like Jumbo Diaz, he's facing a guy like Stephen Piscotty, how much does that ego come in? Saying, gosh, I know I can throw it hard. Can this guy hit, my best stuff?
Oh, from the pitcher side, it happens all the time. But what Jumbo needs to do here is be smart and think about hitting his spot. For Stephen Piscotty, I think you're getting rid of the slider and you're only thinking about the fastball. It's 97, 98. You got to get the bat going.
Fastball misses high and outside, so Piscotty wins the battle and works the walk. The best seats at every ballpark for every game. Visit MLB.com/tickets today. Well, Brandon Moss, he's had himself a nice night in his return from the DL. A solo home run leading off the 8th to tie the game at 4. He also doubled and scored in the 6th to reach on the fielder's choice back in the 1st. Cardinals enter tonight a half game back of that second wild card spot in the National League. They enter tonight with a record of 56-49, 31-19 on the road, the best road record in the majors.
It's going to be tough for them to give the Chicago Cubs a run, but boy, wouldn't that be fun to watch? You get a little bit tighter in that National League Central. the recent history, Jason Hayward, John Lackey leaving St. Louis to go to the Chicago Cubs. Be a lot of fun. I mean, hopefully they'll meet potentially, maybe even in the postseason. But everything that happened last year, the Cardinals, 100-win season. Some back and forth, the rivalry, I think, heating up. We saw it last year, some back and forth between both managers publicly.
A throw over to first base. Piscotty back in, standing up. One ball, one strike to Moss. Off the end of the bat, shallow right. That'll drop in for a base hit. Duvall comes up throwing all the way through to third. Piscotty's in there safely. Runners on the corners, 2 outs here in the 9th. The 3rd hit of the night for Brandon Moss. I guess you could say it's a nice welcome return for Cardinals fans seeing Brandon Moss in the lineup.
Certainly for Mike Matheny as well, knowing that Brandon Moss is back and healthy and swinging the bat well and getting some great at-bats and great swings tonight. Didn't hit this ball particularly hard. Tough fastball from Jumbo Diaz. As we see that replay, a little over-ambitious from Adam Duvall making that throw right there. You got to be careful. You don't want another runner to get into scoring position. I guess it doesn't matter because they're going to walk Jeremy Hazelbaker anyway to go ahead and put Brandon Moss in scoring position with 2 outs. And it sounds like, or it seems like, they'd much rather go after Matt Adams. But now we also see Rosario on deck.
Well, the pitcher spot is due up next. And so Alberto Rosario is the only available position player left for the Cardinals. And you just kind of wonder. Here comes O, and this is, to me, I think this is the right move. I mean, you've got your closer. You got to have him go out there and hit.
Oh, it's an absolute no-brainer. And you sit there and you go through these situations in your head when you're thinking about potentially double switching. You say, okay, well, the only way he gets up is bases loaded with 2 outs, and here we are.
And now let me ask you this: are you asking him not to swing the bat?
Well, he's swinging it up there right now, taking his practice swings. I don't know. I don't think Mike Matheny does that. I think if somehow, some way, O can put the bat on the ball and make something happen, they certainly would like to have an insurance run, even though he did such a great job of working out of that 8th. I don't know anything about his hitting history, if there's anything there. He did hit in Korea. I don't know if I doubt he ever hit in Japan. I forgot what team he played for in Japan, but I know in Korea only the DH there. Japan, they have basically an American and a National League.
And the reason why I ask is, you know, if you go up there and say, hey, don't swing, make him throw 3 strikes. Maybe Jumbo Diaz doesn't throw 3 strikes.
It's a chance worth taking, but at the same time, at least maybe take 1 or 2 strikes, and then you maybe let him loose.
There is strike 2, 1 ball and 2 strikes. I just think with the risk of injury, with what's at stake, I'd rather have a 1-run lead than have him injure himself. And he's not swinging, goes down looking. And so it's a 1-run game going to the bottom of the 9th inning. 2 up. Votto, Duvall, Phillips. Should be fun. Don't go anywhere. Sports Regional Networks, this series continues as Michael Waka faces Cody Reed. Coverage starts at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central on Fox Sports Ohio and Fox Sports Midwest. Bottom of the ninth, 5-4. Cardinals lead the Reds. Joey Votto leading off to right, and that drops in front of Piscotty. Joey Votto is now 4 for 4, has been on base all 5 times.
Not a believer in karma, but Joey Votto doing the right thing by a fan earlier tonight, apologizing for a little interaction that they had, not waiting around against O, jumping on a first pitch and lining it hard into right field.
And you have to wonder, maybe is Piscotty playing a bit deeper? No doubles defense, potentially.
Well, right now, for sure he is. To start off the inning, yes, most teams will go that route. They don't want a guy to get into scoring position. And right now, anything over your head is going to allow Joey Votto to score. So you certainly go down that path right now until that runner does get into scoring position.
Adam Duvall at the plate his last time up. Hit that mammoth 2-run home run against Segrist. At the time, gave the Reds the 4-3 lead. That was his 26th home run of the year. Way out in front of that pitch. No balls and 2 strikes. The 0-2. Off the end of the bat, staying alive is Adam Duvall.
See how far in front he was of that off-speed pitch on the 0-2 count. I think it's smart for O to go ahead and do that again. You go down and away, see if you can get him to chase something. If you didn't like that swing, always can go up and in with the fastball to get him a little bit uncomfortable, but he certainly did not pick up the spin on that slider very well.
Another 0-2. Popped up behind home plate. Molina giving a look. And that'll reach the seats.
Just to kind of finish it off real quick, we talked about O batting last inning. When he was in Japan for those 2 years, he played for the Hanshin Tigers, which are in the Central League, which does not use the DH. I doubt that he got any at-bats when he was there. Something they don't list when you start to look at some of the foreign stats on Baseball Reference. So that may very well have been his first at-bat in a professional game. It was not. 2 at-bats, 1 for 2.
Another 0-2. Missing outside at 95, 1-2.
Anytime you want to bail me out, Ed, I'm right over here, man. Mr. Stat Guy just let me just dig my own grave over here. Just here's a shovel, CJ. Knock yourself out.
Phillips on deck. Line drive, base hit. Votto, he will hold up at second. First and second, nobody out here in the bottom of the ninth.
How about the never quit here in the Cincinnati Reds and this offense? A pitch at 0-1, it down and away. He elevates it just enough for Adam Duvall to be able to line that ball into left center field. And give some credit here to the Cincinnati Reds. You think about the season that they have gone through and trading away some players, some big ones, some big names, not only this year, but over the last couple of years. It's easy to put your head down in those situations, and these veterans just have not done that. They continue to fight. Put together a really nice game tonight here in Cincinnati.
Brandon Phillips takes the first pitch outside for ball 1. Phillips reached on an error his last time up, the throwing error by Jerko. He's 0 for 4. An RBI would tie it. In the air, shallow left. Hazel Baker comes in to make the catch for the first out. now Scott Schebler, who has swung the bat well. He has vicious swings. He's 2 for 4, a couple of singles, a ground out to third, and he fouled out to third. First and second, 1 out, bottom 9. Just recalled from AAA Louisville today.
Great opportunity here for Schebler. You mentioned the recall. Jay Bruce to the Mets, so Duvall goes to right. Schebler now going to get another opportunity to play left. He was very successful down in Louisville, put up some great numbers and a couple of hits already tonight, but what a great opportunity for him.
Missing low and inside, 1 ball and 1 strike from Soon 1-0. Over 25,000 here tonight at Great American Ballpark. Many staying here for this bottom of the 9th inning. Low and inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. The Reds tonight are 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position.
Keep an eye on pitch selection here, and this is where a guy like in big situations can throw that slider, throw that splitter, a well-located fastball, trying to take advantage of the aggressiveness. You talked about it. Schebler's a big swinger. You locate a pitch here, and especially an off-speed pitch, you can get that ground ball, get yourself a double play, and get out of this inning.
Deep to right. If it's fair, it's gone. Gone. Reds win.
Well, that was definitely not the pitch that wanted to throw something up in the zone. And how about Scott Schebler? Welcome back to the big leagues. A huge moment, a huge night comes through here for the Cincinnati Reds.
Welcome back indeed.
Well, I mentioned it, location was key, and this ball was not located well at all. Scott Schebler took that big swing. We know the power is there. You leave him something over the middle of the plate in a 2-1 count, and he will absolutely annihilate it. He crushed this baseball at a Great American Ballpark.
What a moment for Scott Schebler.
And as equally a tough moment for he does such an excellent job of getting out of that 8th inning, bases loaded, nobody out, is able to maintain the lead for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he gets a fresh inning in the 9th, and he's unable to do so.
For CJ Nitkowski and our entire crew here in Cincinnati, I am Justin Kutcher saying so long. What a game. 7-5 Reds win. Let's go to LA for MLB Whip Around. Here's Chris, Pete, and Frank.